Well. Oh, well, welcome everybody to the Boxing Podcast, early morning edition for everybody out there. This is your good friend, Mr. BDA, broadcasting to you live from the True North. And we got a fantastic show for you planned today. Let me tell you, get you started here in the morning. I know it's 4th of July out there for the Yanks, so happy 4th of July. Don't go attacking Canada anytime soon, or Mexico, or any other country, please. But shout out to everybody out there for joining us. Really good show here, I suppose, because we got a lot to talk about. Again, listen, World Cup fever, World Cup season, World Cup year. It's only every 4 years, so we got to watch the World Cup here. It's something that takes up a lot of time, and there hasn't been that much going on in boxing, so we haven't really been doing that many shows. But I said, you know what? News start accumulating. There's a lot of happenings. There's a lot of shakers and movers circulating around the boxing media, and so we had to do a show to tell you everything that's going on. That the Saudis are making their move. The Saudis are making the move. There's a lot of chatter, a lot of talking, a lot of bickering back and forth between Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis, Devin Haney. I said we had a moratorium on Tank Davis, but we just had to talk about what happened yesterday. A lot of drama on Twitter, so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's going to be happening today and in the coming days as it pertains to boxing. So make sure to hit the like, subscribe if you yet to do so already. Don't forget to send us a couple of shekels if you got any. It really helps the gravy train are rolling. The most important thing is you continue to like, you subscribe, and you spread that BDA gospel. Now, what else was I going to say? Yeah, so we're trying to get you started here in the morning. So get your cup of coffee ready, cup of tea, maybe a little bolsita, as people like to tell me, a little bolsita of Blancanieves, and we'll see what happens. See who I have in the chat here. Shout out to Gonzalo, Jay Will, Nightmare, one of the initiated, More BDC, Me So Dionysian, Mac the 5-star General. Shout out to Mac the 5-star General, what a name. Jacques Cousteau, JDA, The Turk, he's good with a knife. We Fight All Night TV, and many more people to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us, really appreciate it. The Iceman, he says, Canada wants to attract USA, but they changed their mind. Interesting right there. We Fight On Now says, I've been telling people something going on with Ryan. His contract at Golden Boy. Bro has one fight left, and Oscar is starting to panic. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all of that plus more. Before we get to that, I just want to give my thoughts on the fight today on the zone. We got a top-rank card. We got Abdullah Mason, Uber prospect Abdullah Mason. I still look at him as a prospect, even though he's got the WBO title, a WBO lightweight strap. I still see him as a bit of a prospect, because you know me, I don't really pay attention to the belts. I don't think a belt makes you a champion. However, I do think Abdullah Mason, maybe, I guess you could say he's out of prospect status and maybe now top contender, but relatively young at 22 years old. But they've been moving him relatively carefully up until last year, the end of last year, when he took on Sam Noakes, and what a war that was. He took on a strong guy, bullish fighter, and he came out on top via close decision. Nevertheless, it was quite a fight to throw him in there into, and they were going to throw him in with Joe Cordina, former 130-pound titleist, but that fight fell through, and now he's taking on Albert Bell, so it's two undefeated fighters. Abdullah Mason with a record of 20-0 with 17 knockouts, taking on Albert Bell, who's 28-0. with only 9 knockouts, but as you can see here, let me put it up on the screen for you. Some people are saying that this is actually a more difficult fight in certain regards than the Cordina bout. And why is my window so small here? Again, it's not about the size of the window, it's how you use it, but nevertheless, come on, guys. I mean, if you guys can see it, then what's going on here? Hold on a second. Transform. There you go. All right. So, anthropometry. I like how they do that on Champignon.com. They don't tell you stats, they don't tell you measures, they say anthropometry. It really makes it sound a lot more official. What the hell is his height? Yeah, so Abdullah Mason is listed as being 5'9", whereas Albert Bell is 6 feet tall. 6 feet tall, so there he has... And interestingly enough, as it often happens in boxing, just because you're taller doesn't mean you have a longer reach, and here Abdullah Mason apparently has a 1-inch reach advantage. He is a southpaw. Albert Bell is an orthodox fighter. However, if you've seen Albert Bell, first of all, apparently these two have history. Albert Bell, who's 33 years old, there you go, yeah, he's 33 years old, he's 11 years older, has history, nevertheless, with Abdullah Mason. I guess, from what I understand, he knew Mason back when Bell was a younger fighter and Mason was just a kid. And I think they even sparred together. Again, I don't know if Bell was an adult at the time and Mason was a kid, but nevertheless, they have some history and perhaps some familiarity, which might end up playing a factor, in the actual fight. But the reason why some people are saying that Bell might be a more difficult proposition than Joe Cordina, the Mason's original opponent, is because although Cordina has a superior resume, he's fought more experienced fighters, better fighters, and he hits harder, at least even at 135, I suppose. Bell is a taller fighter. He's a bit of a spoiler there. I won't say he fights in the ass style, but he's bordering on that sometimes in some of the fights I've seen him in. Nevertheless, he's managed to pull off a couple of upsets, albeit many years ago. That was pre-pandemic. I mean, he fought a guy by the name of Andy Vances on the Fury versus Schwartz undercard. So that was about, what was it now? It's been about almost seven years ago. So that's a long time ago. And I don't know if he's fought any fighters of quality or of note in the last couple of years. Nevertheless, he's experienced. He has fought some decent opposition in the past. And so we'll see what happens with that one. Very interesting to see. I will say this. Albert Bell kind of reminds me of Derek Smoke Gaynor. If you recall, Derek Smoke Gaynor, featherweight and super featherweight fighter. He was a Roy Jones friend, and he fought a lot like Roy Jones, by the way, including throwing those lead uppercuts. And that's what Albert Bell does. Although he's not a southpaw like Smoke Gaynor was, he likes to throw those lead uppercuts a la Roy Jones. So watch out for that punch. And he's a long puncher. So Abdullah Mason, who is a strong, stout fighter, some people are saying it's only a matter of time before he moves up to 140. It will behoove him as the bigger puncher to work that Albert Bell body. There's a lot of work to be done in the long torso, so I think that might be the key there for Abdullah Mason. And again, this is an interesting fight for Mason. They're really throwing him into the fire now because he fought a puncher in Noakes in his last fight. Now he's taking on a long spoiler in Albert Bell, so I'm very curious to see how this fight goes. And I think this is the right approach for Mason. I don't think they should throw him in there against some of the bigger players at 135 and 140. But depending on how he looks against Albert Bell, he might just be ready. Also on that card, we have Bruce Shushu Carrington. He's the WBC featherweight titleist, taking on undefeated Rene Palacios, 19-0 with 10 knockouts. He's a southpaw. They both have an opponent in common, and that is Segawa. I forget what his name is. Hold on a second. It's a Namibian. I forget how you pronounce that country's name. Yeah, Sulaiman Sagawa. And what's his name? Palacios last fought. He's fought. I mean, I'm telling you, look at that. It was this year, okay, not that long ago. But he fought Sagawa on Pro Boxing. It was a split decision. If you look at the comments of that Pro Box YouTube bout, a lot of people say Sagawa should have won. But if you think that makes a difference in this fight, might not make as much a difference as you think, because Shushu also fought Sagawa and also struggled mightily against Sagawa, who is the king of the gatekeepers down there at featherweight. And a lot of people felt Carrington should have lost that fight. Interestingly enough, Sagawa is a very dangerous fighter. He pulled off the upset against, what's his name? Hold on a second. He's the guy that, Ruben Villa. He upset Ruben Villa. I would love to see that Mirko Cuello fight. I don't know if you guys know who Mirko Cuello is. He's an undefeated Argentinian fighter who has a hell of a left hook. And it says here unanimous decision. That wasn't a PBC undercard, but it was off the TV broadcast, so even the prelim broadcast. So there's no, as far as I know, there's no footage of that fight. That's one that I'd love to see. And look at this. Segawa also beat Brian Acosta by TKO and then lost against Palacios by split decision. Interestingly enough, if you go down to his record here, he fought Jermaine Ortiz at super lightweight. Lightweight, excuse me. But he might as well have been a super lightweight because Jermaine Ortiz looked huge in that fight. That was on the Roy Jones Mike Tyson undercard. And I can't believe that Segawa, who fights at featherweight, fought such a big guy in Ortiz. Actually gave him fits before Ortiz stopped him. And it wasn't really I think it was a clean knockout, but it was after a couple of rounds. Because as you know, Ortiz isn't exactly the most aggressive puncher out there, or even a puncher per se. But so yeah, this is what we have. We have Palacios versus Shushu Carrington. Very interesting fight, very interesting card, so make sure to check that one out. Who do we have in the chat here? Let's read a couple of comments. Jack Cousteau says Christopher Guerrero undefeated versus Tiger Johnson. We love or snow Mexicans. Well, there you go. That's another fight, I suppose, on that card. Shout out to Jack Cousteau for reminding us of that. Jay Will says Abdullah is going to be moving up 140 pounds sooner or later. Shout out to Severino who says morning run plus good breakfast plus BDA equals a good morning indeed. Well, shout out to Severino. I think Severino forgot the coffee. I mean, I guess that's including the good breakfast, right? But I'm sure he's always drinking coffee. A1 says Bell has to be taller than 6 foot. He looks massive. You know what? I don't know if I haven't really focused on whether he looks taller than what they list, but he's pretty tall and he fights tall. By the way, one of the things that makes him such a tough, not unorthodox, but elusive fighter, or difficult to deal with, is because he actually fights in the side stance a lot. Also known as the bladed stance. He likes to shoulder roll, so he really limits the amount of target that's available, even though he's taller. So, and he likes to. He's pretty quick too, though. Pretty quick. Again, some of the fights that I saw were from 7 years ago. I haven't been able to find any really recent ones, so I don't know how quick he is now at 33 years old. But nevertheless, sometimes fighters such as Bell might lose a little bit of speed, but they nevertheless make up for it with experience and timing. So we'll see what happens with Bell in that one. Jacques Cousteau says Bell's been knocked down. He hasn't fought a southpaw in forever. That's the other thing, though. That's a good little tidbit there, Jacques Cousteau. And that's the other thing, is he hasn't really fought any decent or top opposition. Then again, some guys are that good that even if they're not fighting solid opposition, they're still manage to pull it out when they fight a guy of high repute. Iceman says, I missed it. That was a good what she said. Oh, I don't know where we're talking about. I don't know which comment you're talking about there. Jay Will says, A1, Free Bell looks much taller. Abdullah still has the reach advantage by 1 inch. Shout out to JC, says, yo. Iceman says, Abdullah versus Sam Noakes was an awesome fight. It really was, man. It really was, right? Baptism by fire for Abdullah Mason right there. Iceman says, I haven't been on any lives. Miso Dionysus says, I thought he was fighting Cordina. No, that fight fell through about 2 weeks ago, I think. Johnny Durag says the Do-Man is here. The Do-Man is here. Let's talk this boxing. Well, shout out to Johnny Durag. Severino says, oddly enough, I started to pour my coffee when you said it. See, I got ESP, man. I'm telling you. I got ESP. I got it all, baby. So what else are we going to talk about? Okay, so let's get into the meat of the stream, the crux of it, if you will. And that is that a couple of days ago, there was this meeting between Turki Al-Sheikh and who was it? Yeah, it was the representatives from Matchroom, that's Eddie Hearn, and the representatives from Queensberry. Representative, that is, in the form of the headmaster, the bullet dodger. We're talking about Frank Warren. Hold on a second. I'm trying to find a picture here, so give you guys a little context, a little of a visual here. Hold on a second. Frank Warren. Because it was a recent picture here, and it was a recent meeting, rather. And according to... Well, yeah, I mean, some people started looking into the whole body language thing and saying, well, what happened? Can we extrapolate anything from the picture? Now, before we do that, hold on a second. Shout out to... Oh, boy, I don't have the comments here available. Hold on a second. There we go. Shout out to Al Cuerpo. Shout out to Al Cuerpo. Really appreciate him joining the membership program, or actually extending the membership program by 1 month. Shout out to Al Cuerpo, who says, everyone take notes. La Familia, Haney, Heyman, Ellerby, Floyd, Tank, and Shakur are all cheering for El Tri to smash on Saturday, July the 5th. Is that right? They're all... I don't know if he's joking. I don't really know if they actually watch football, aka soccer. I know it's 4th of July, so we have to keep the nomenclature into a more Yankee status. But yeah, I don't know, or a format rather, but I don't know if they're really running. But if they are, shout out to them. Mexico really is up against England tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. Iceman says, when you say I have a small window, BDA. Oh, okay, well, there you go. What else we got here? So yeah, so shout out to Iceman, shout out to El Cuerpo for extending his membership program right there. Really appreciate it. So as I was saying, we've got this meeting. We had this meeting between Turki Al-Sheikh and representatives from Queensberry, and whatchamacallit, Matchroom. Is that Tom Brown there at the edge there, on the right side? I don't know. Now, some people were looking at this picture and say, "Oh, look at Eddie Hearn. He's so smiling. Usually he's smiling. That means the meeting went bad for them." And I don't know if that necessarily means much. But I will say that Joe Habib over at Ringside Reporter, he was getting into it with people over at on Twitter because some people were saying, "Oh, look at that." Actually, do I have that meeting? Yeah, well, that's the tweet we're going to look at here later. But anyway, they had this meeting, right? And then Turkey Al-Sheikh had tweeted that I met with Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, and Nick Khan, who is from Zuffa TKO. So the image that he was presenting was that there was a potential working out of issues, a resolution, if you will, between Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, and Nick Khan of Zuffa TKO, and that we might be seeing more interplay between those promotional entities, those organizations, as it pertains to boxing. But then there was some controversy, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so there you go. So this account by the name of Everything Boxing posted 2 screen caps of a Turkey Al-Sheikh tweet. So the original tweet from Turkey Al-Sheikh, according to Boxing, or excuse me, Everything Boxing, that's the one that came out with this analysis of this tweet here. This is a Turkey Al-Sheikh tweet, the original, allegedly. I don't know if you can actually edit things. Again, I'm not a big X Twitter user, so I don't know if now that you have the Blue Note or the X Premium or whatever, you can edit tweets. But Turkey Al-Sheikh said, "Great meeting with our brothers and partners will affect the future. For more than 4 hours, we talked about everything. Big meeting today between the Zone, Zuffa, Queensberry, Matchroom, and Gold Star." Now, okay, yeah, Gold Star, that's that guy that looks like the guy from Sexy Beast, Ray Winstone, the guy at the far end there on the right. So he's saying big meeting between the Zone. Then check this out. According to this Everything Boxing, he says, "Great meeting with our brothers and partners will affect the future. Big meeting between the Zone, Queensberry, Matchroom, and Gold Stars." All of a sudden, he took out Zuffa in this edit, allegedly. I don't know if it's true or not. So this guy, Everything Boxing, says, "Turkey edited his meeting tweet to remove Zuffa and then posted separate post with Nick Khan. Did Zuffa even take part in this meeting with Matchroom, Queensberry, Gold Star, and the Zone? Entirely pointless." Well, Turkey Al-Sheikh took note of that tweet and actually replied, asking, "What is your IQ level? We owned 60% of Zuffa, and I am the chairman of the board. No one can force me to delete something. I changed it because Nick wasn't in the picture. Tell this to whom you told to write this." Excuse me. "Tell this to whom told you to write this." So Turkey Al-Sheikh alleging that somebody put Everything Boxing up to that inflammatory tweet. Then Everything Boxing replied, he says, "We own 60% of Zuffa and I am the chairman of the board. Thumbs up. So the meeting didn't involve Nick Khan or Dana White, and it was just you and the others. That wasn't what was portrayed, but sure, if it did." Now, in this scenario, he says that wasn't what was portrayed. I agree if that original tweet did exist. But if he edited it, then what's the point of all this back and forth? Turkey Al-Sheikh then replied, "This is why I asked about your IQ and give back the phone to Helwani." Oh, so Turkey Al-Sheikh is alleging that Everything Boxing is in some sort of collusion with Ariel Helwani, who has been critical of Zuffa TKO in the past. But this isn't where the drama ends, people. No sorry bump. We still got more here. Okay, so this is where I was confusing names here, 2 yellow accounts. So then there's this character name, according to Boxing. He says, he's replying to Everything Boxing. "Turkey exposed you as a Hearn shill." So some people are saying that Everything Boxing, don't confuse the accounts. I know they look similar here. That's why I always like to mention the names of the accounts. He's accusing Everything Boxing of being a Eddie Hearn shill and therefore a constant, perpetual critic of Zuffa TKO. And then somebody else replied, I can't read this name, it's in Arabic. "Poor guys, Turkey Al-Sheikh responded to your lies and imaginations." So there you see people defending Turkey Al-Sheikh, but then other people jump in. This Everything Boxing character accused Everything Boxing, according to Boxing, see, I'm confusing all these people. According to Boxing, accused Everything Boxing of being a Hearn shill, but then people jumped in and accused, according to Boxing, of being a Zuffa shill. Orange Light says the Zuffa/Turkey shill. Then according to Boxing replies, says his burner account. Then this fellow by the name of Carlos Hernandez says, and you are exposed as a Dana White / Sufa dick rider. so I just want to take note of this. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how the Zuffa TKO events, boxing events, have been good. They've been solid. They've produced some interesting fights, Fight of the Year contenders. The fights, for the most part, appear to be evenly matched, except for when Callum Walsh fights. That's when the fights tend to get boring. But for the most part, they've been solid fights, even excluding the horrible commentary that we see from Max Kellerman, and to a certain extent, Andrew Ward. I don't really have a lot of criticism about Andrew Ward as a commentator that much, but it really, Max Kellerman, when he gets together with Max Kellerman, that's when it goes down. So other than that, actually, the Zuffa product has been pretty good. And just because I said that, I've seen at least one comment of somebody accusing us of being Zuffa TKO glazers. And I'm thinking, I've been critical of Zuffa TKO. I mean, I've said that I'm not entirely sure where this is going, and that I'm skeptical of the Zuffa TKO machine and all the money that's behind it and some of the people behind it. But as far as the boxing product, I can't tell you that it's bad. If it isn't, what am I going to lie about it? But apparently that makes you a glacier. So that is, or as if a TKO shield. So that is the environment that we're dealing with. Anytime somebody is a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for here? Anytime somebody praises something of Zuffa TKO, that means you're a shield. And if you critique them, that means you're somehow in bed with Earl Hawani or Eddie Hearn, blah, blah, blah. That's the environment that we're in with the internet. And it's always been like that. That's why I'm not surprised. But people tend to look at things in binary, either or, black and white. Either you're with us or against us. And I think that's a very primitive, tribal way of looking at things. But then again, that's just the internet as a whole. So where was I with this? Okay, so that's what was going on in that interplay there as it pertains to the Turkey Al-Sheikh situation. Then Rick Glazier, with an S, not a Z. He's not, although some people say that when he goes at you, you've been glazed. But Rick Glazier jumped in and provided some context to this, because he was retweeting here a World of Boxing News who said, promoter divide. Turkey Al-Sheikh managed to summon a lot of the major promoters he works with, but couldn't manage to get Nick Khan in a photo with them all. So then Rick Glazier explained the situation. He said, easy. One meeting involving Turkey Al-Sheikh was held with the DAZN promoters and a DAZN executive, as Turkey Al-Sheikh is a DAZN shareholder. Nick Khan, representing Zuffa, is not a DAZN promoter. Zuffa has a Paramount Plus deal. The second meeting was with Turkey, Nick Khan, and Eddie Hearn. Now you know. So that goes to explain what Beebs was saying, going at it with people over on Twitter, saying just because there weren't any pictures presented involving Nick Khan and Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren or some of these other promoters doesn't mean that he wasn't involved in the meetings. And even if he wasn't in the photo or in the meetings at all, it really is immaterial, because Turkey Al-Sheikh, as he said, owns 60% of the organization. So indeed, he is a shot caller, a heavy shot caller, and whatever information he might relay to Nick Khan from the DAZN executives or promoters and vice versa is what occurs there. So it's really just a moot point there about who was in the picture and who was in the meeting and who wasn't. Hopefully this means something, because if you ask me, I don't think this really amounts to much. I mean, we don't know the specifics of what was discussed. But hopefully everything went well, because that would mean more interplay and more co-promotion between these entities. And we're going to talk about later on about the supposed and alleged Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia fight, which in essence would put some people in a tough spot. For example, David Benavidez has claimed that he doesn't want to fight Jai Opetaia, and he kiboshed it from the get-go without even enacting any sort of negotiations with Jai Opetaia's side rather, because he claimed, well, Jai Opetaia is with Zuffa and we can work with him. Well, they didn't even try. So if Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn do end up fighting, that's going to show you that, yeah, you can work with them. It's just a matter of whether you want to. So, as I said before, the aforementioned Joe Habib going at it with people because of this picture that we saw here, this character by the name of Broomy says, Golden Boy have a co-promotional... Okay, so now we're talking about the De La Hoya involvement here. Hold on a second. Let me, because I'm getting ahead of myself. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. I'm going to play the video here involving Golden Boy. That's the Golden Boy, because he did one of his clapback Thursdays. I guess he doesn't call it clapback Thursdays anymore. I think maybe because of the Virgil Ortiz situation and the whole court thing, where it came out that Virgil Ortiz's side were using De La Hoya's constant berating of other promoters via the Clapback Thursday segment. I don't know if you guys, for those of you who don't know, Clapback Thursdays is this thing where De La Hoya used to get on Twitter with a heavily edited video that he probably didn't edit himself, obviously. And he was trying to be funny. He was trying to appeal to Zoomers. Most of the time it fell flat. I wasn't a fan of it. He was really just instigating people and fellow promoters doing that. And Virgil Ortiz's side then cited that in their not lawsuit or whatever it was, their litigation, that it made them look bad and it alienated other promoters and therefore prevented Virgil Ortiz from getting big fights. So I think De La Hoya, because of that, might have slowed down on the whole Clapback Thursday thing, because I don't recall seeing it anytime in the recent past. Then again, I wasn't a big fan of it, so I wasn't exactly looking forward to it or looking for it, so maybe I missed it. Be that as it may, De La Hoya did go on the internet, and
that's a good idea.
He started going at Turkey a los Sheiks. Check out what he had to say.
Turkey and Salah, you can't call up any fighter you want and make a fight. You can't put fights on any network you want. That's why you're getting sued left and right. It's why you wanted to call a peace meeting with Frank and Eddie over a war that you started. And by the way, you left me, Al Heyman, and Bob Arum out of your peace meeting. And guess what? We control the U.S. market.
That was a little zesty the way he says, me? Check out.
Heyman and Bob, you started. And by the way, you left me.
Sounds like, when you tell a chick, an ex-girlfriend or something, and you go, hey, when I left you, and she goes, excuse me.
And by the way, you left me.
And then that becomes a point of contention.
Al Heyman and Bob Arum out of your peace meeting. And guess what? We control the U.S. market. Bob Arum said the other day he thinks your brother, Dana White, is a cancer in the sport of boxing. And everyone agrees he's terrible. All he does is fuck the UFC fighters.
Ooh.
And you want to replicate that model in boxing? You think that's a good idea? I mean, come on, dude. Oh, and Uncle Fester, fuck you.
Jeez.
And don't forget to give me a call about Ryan Garcia, because guess what? You fucking legally have to. Remember, kids, you're never a hater if you only speak the facts. Oh, and
there's a fake smile there from the lawyer.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy for look at him drinking that big ass can of beer. It's probably 9 in the morning, by the way, where he's at. He's already getting hammered. That's great. I mean, listen, that's De La Hoya complaining that Bob Arum, PBC, and Golden Boy were left out of that meeting. What does that tell you about where he stands in the pecking order? I don't know. Maybe there's going to be another meeting involving those fellas, but De La Hoya seemed to take it to heart. And, again, he's talking about that potential Garcia versus Ben fight that's being talked about. Here's another tweet. I don't know if this is the same video here. Hold on a second. What's he saying here?
Asking for this fight. The fans are definitely not wanting this fight. And if it were up to me, I would have picked Devin Haney for the rematch. That's a much bigger fight. But because Turkey owns Zuffa and wants to help them out, he picked Conor Benn. But whatever, that's fine. I mean, look, nobody's asking for this fight.
Says nobody's asking for Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia. Let me tell you something. If that fight does big business, and if that manages to fill out an arena, not an arena, but a very big venue, what's he gonna say then? And I got confused between arena and stadium, because this fight, look, they're saying that it's going to happen in Vegas if the Ben versus Garcia bout occurs. I would rather see it in England, man. Big stadium, open stadium in front of a bunch of people, all singing, drinking. That's an atmosphere you really can't beat. The only ones that beat the British, the UK in terms of boxing crowd is the Irish. I'm talking the real Irish. Now those guys know how to party, but not that by much. But not by that much. Nevertheless, they do have a wilder crowd than the Brits. Nevertheless, the point remains, it's a good crowd over there, so they should do it over there. That being said, De La Hoya saying nobody wants to see it, I disagree. I think a lot of people will want to see it. And maybe it's because De La Hoya just feels some type of way, as they say in the street, about this fight, because a Ben versus Garcia fight will involve Dana White, whom De La Hoya refers to as Uncle Fester. We know De La Hoya hates Dana White. Maybe that's why he wants no involvement with Zuffa TKO. So, I don't know what's going on there with De La Hoya, man. He should be worried about trying to get Virgil Ortiz on fights. Because, I mean, 154, with that fight against Janice, potential fight, that's red hot. Meanwhile, this guy is making videos, drinking beer, getting hammered at 9 in the morning. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing at all. Then there was this tweet here that I saw, sort of echoing some of my sentiments, but I just wanted to read it because it's done in a more compact fashion. This guy says, Round by Round Radio says, Oscar De La Hoya is desperate. Golden Boy really has two major names left, Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Ryan Garcia. But I mean, are we forgetting, what's his name? Kid Austin? Are we forgetting Kid Austin? Schofield. Schofield's father is going to come in now. He's like, what you mean? Only two major names. What about my boy? What about my son? I told you he's the best. Anyway, Virgil Ortiz only has 3 fights left under Golden Boy, he says, and is currently shelved by Golden Boy Promotions. Ryan Garcia is tied to Saudi Arabia, and his Golden Boy contract will be coming to an end. On top of that, Golden Boy's recent DAZN shows have been trash. The Oscar Collazo card was horrible. There's a reason Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya, and Al Heyman were not part of the conversation. Zuffa boxing is the future of American boxing. What do you think about that? He says, for Bob Arum to call Dana White a cancer to the sport is ironic, considering he paid the IBF to manipulate the rules and rankings to benefit his fighters. People tend to forget, by the way, this is Mr. BD speaking now, not reading this tweet. People forget that Bob Arum also, his offices were raided back in the 2000s, I believe. Now, nothing came of it. But there was also a controversy involved in the top rank a while in the 2090s where they were paying these Mexican tomato cans and feeding them to their prospects. And some of these dudes, the medicals, they weren't even really, they shouldn't have passed the medical. Somehow they did. And then they ended up getting seriously injured. So, yeah, man, all of these guys are snakes to a certain degree, these promoters. So for Bob Arum to be calling Dana White a cancer really is ironic. So the tweet continues. In my opinion, the WBO stands for what Bob orders these days. Right now, the Zuffa boxing product is light years ahead of what Golden Boy, Top Rank, and the PBC are putting out. Well, I'll say this. Zuffa TKO is lacking the names that some of these other promoters have. Obviously, if you combine all these promoters. But in terms of the quality of the cards, like I said, there have been entertaining fights over at Zuffa boxing. They don't baby the... Look at that. They had Brandon Lee. And I know Brandon Lee was never really... looked at as a next hot prospect in recent years. I mean, the last time we saw him, or the last time I remember seeing him was against Ocampo, who gave him hell. And so, yeah, that's at that point, most boxing fans knew, okay, this guy's not exactly a red hot prospect. But nevertheless, he was undefeated, and he jumps in there again on Zuffa. And do they feed him an easy guy? No. They fed him a tough guy who ended up beating him. That's good matchmaking. Some people were complaining, oh, look at Zuffa TKO, look at how they're mismanaging or they don't know how to match their fighters because these undefeated guys are losing their records. I mean, listen, historically in boxing, if undefeated guys are losing their records, that's not mismanagement. That's actually good for the boxing fans because we're not seeing these mismatches. Who was it? Was it on the... I forget which card it was recently where we saw a bunch of... Well, the Zayas versus Ennis card. You had Ben Whitaker taking on a nobody. So they got their prospects, 30-year-old prospects, by the way, fighting nobodies. That's not what we want to see as boxing fans. We don't want to see on a pay-per-view on top of that. Okay, you put if it's on a pay-per-view undercard, put it in the beginning prelims, whatever. That's when you put your prospects against tomato cans. You don't put that as a part of the main card. And I think that's what Zuffa is doing. They're not babying their fighters, and that's what I like. We're seeing competitive matchups. We don't have time. Look, if I'm paying for Paramount Plus, pay-per-view, DAZN, whatever, I don't want to see mismatches. Eventually, obviously, you're gonna need some. You're gonna have some. It's the name of the game. But now with these a la carte paper events and networks, we shouldn't be getting mismatches. Again, there was an article on Ring Magazine from the 90s. I think it was from 97, 98. And it was called Why Mismatches Are Necessary. And they talked about how it's just the name of the game. Sometimes, if these networks needed promoters and their fighters, they would also need to put some youngins in there against tomato cans because that's how it worked. Also, at the time, the context of the article was that you were seeing old-ass Larry Holmes and George Foreman fighting nobodies in their comebacking careers. I'm talking about Foreman and Holmes. They were fighting a bunch of cans and nobodies as they prepared to fight better opposition, superior opposition. And so people were saying, well, why are we seeing Larry Holmes and George Foreman fighting nobodies? And some of the managers and promoters were saying, well, look, because, and so I think it was an executives rather saying, look, the name of the game is ratings. Larry Holmes and George Foreman, they provide ratings. People know who they are. So we got to put them on TV, and we don't have the money to be paying for other top-notch opponents. And even if they had the money, they wouldn't really want to pay another guy because they want to keep some of that money for themselves. So that's the reason for the mismatches. But now, though, that article was from almost 30 years ago. Now it's a different ecosystem. We're paying for these networks. They should be able to jam-pack it, the prelims, put them on YouTube, whatever, but actually on the main card give us some more exciting fights, because that's what we're paying for. We're paying for a la carte, picking up the best fights possible. We don't want to see these mismatches. That's the way it should be done. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not fully understanding the boxing business. Maybe it hasn't really changed that much. Maybe what I'm asking for is impossible. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to Zuffa TKO, we're actually seeing competitive matchups across the entire card. So there is a possibility that can be done. And it's interesting that these tweets here reiterated some of what I was thinking about, how Golden Boy's like, well, why wasn't I invited to the meeting? Well, maybe because you're just not that important anymore. I mean, how long does Golden Boy Promotions even have at the Zone? What was it, a 2-year deal that they re-signed with? Because remember, not that long ago, people forget the Zone and Golden Boy were on the outs. It seemed like Golden Boy was going to move somewhere else. And last minute, they ended up writing up some sort of deal or coming to some sort of agreement. But it wasn't exactly sure what was going to go there or what was going to happen. So I don't know what's going on all the way. Now, Al Heyman, PBC, that's what he's synonymous with. What does he have going for him? They got Sebastian Fundora. They got Tank Davis, whom we're going to get to later, unfortunately. Even though I said we weren't going to really talk much about him because there's a moratorium in place, fellas. A moratorium in place about any type of Tank Davis discussion regarding fights. But now we got to talk about him a little bit because it involves some of the Zuffa TKO thing, too. Because, I mean, think about it. Like I said, Al Heyman, who does he have? PBC. They have Tank Davis. That's their biggest star. He's not fighting. Hasn't fought since April 2025. I think it was April, right? April 2025. Who knows when he's going to fight, if he's ever going to fight again. Sebastian Fundora. They're already protecting him about how, Samson Lukowicz, we want to keep the fights in the PBC. They have to happen in Amazon. So what? They have to happen in Amazon? They're putting him in the David Benavidez protection plan too. They have to happen. They have to happen in Vegas. They have to happen on the PBC. Blah blah blah. It's like, what's going on here? Why don't they want to let him go? Benavidez, I don't even know how much of a PBC fighter he really is at this point in time. Might just be going over with the Zone. I don't know. It's weird. They have those 3 fighters, and some people say, well, that's a pretty good stable. Again, Tank Davis isn't fighting. Benavidez fights twice a year. Fundora, they don't want to match him up against the Ennis or Virgil Ortiz in the meantime, or anytime soon. And on top of that, these guys, the PBC, they don't have any money. Amazon, as far as I know, isn't giving them money, or at least the same amount of money that the Zone provides to their promoters. Hence why you only see 4 or 5 cards from the PBC. So are they really that big a name that the Zone and Zuffa TKO have to deal with? It wouldn't appear so. Top Rank, that's a different proposition. Even though apparently, I don't know if you guys know read this, but apparently Zayas is going to be fighting on Matchroom for his next fight. I don't know if that was part of the negotiation. Maybe they gave Matchroom an option on Zayas, a 1-fight option that he has to fight for them if they made the Ennis fight happen. But but that's the thing too though. Top Rank is with the Zone now. They're fighting under the Zone umbrella. But who do they really have? Abdullah Mason and Keyshawn Davis aren't exactly stars. Navarrete, he could have been a star, but they refused to. I don't know if they refused to or couldn't really push him much, which I don't blame them for not really going all out on Navarrete, because Navarrete, the book on him for a couple of years in the last 3 years was very lackadaisical with his training, fluctuating in weight, blah, blah, blah. So maybe Top Rank felt, you know what, we don't really want to push this guy too much. But they should have. They should have, because he's an action fighter. They got Emiliano Vargas. Again, he's got star potential, but what I'm trying to illustrate that right now, they don't have a lot of cards to play with. So maybe that's why he was a representative from Top Rank we're missing at that meeting, or maybe there's going to be another meeting where those guys are going to be involved. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. What are people saying in the chat, by the way? Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. This is a BDA morning show. Trying to get you to the morning here. More BDC says, guys like Abdullah Mason and Xander Zayas got ranked number 1 from the WBO out of nowhere. So I suppose that's what that tweet from that person that I was reading from earlier, I forget the guy's name, was saying that the WBO stands for what Bob orders. Yeah, that's what he said, right? What Bob orders. A1 Free says, did you see Eddie Hearn berating a reporter in the post-fight press conference for asking if Ben Whitaker is going to step up in his next fight? He was berating a reporter for asking that question. I mean, Ben Whitaker, what is he now? 30 years old? He's fighting Bulgarian lorry drivers and Argentinian barbecuers. That's who he's fighting. I mean, I think it's about time he steps it up. I think that fight against what was the guy's name who when they fell out of the ring? Johnson, Callum, whatever. Maybe that gave him a scare, that fight, the first one. And they're saying, you know what, we got something here with Ben Whitaker. Let's not push him too far. But he's 30 years old, man. I mean, come on. They got to do something with that guy now, or pretty soon. We Fight All Night says boxing is the only sport where fans are fine with tune-ups. McGregor ain't fighting 5 years and he's fighting a Hall of Famer. Boxing needs to evolve. I love Sufa bringing over the fight mentality to boxing. You know, the tune-ups aren't exactly a problem if the people are fighting 5 times a year. If the fighters were having bouts every other month, then tune-ups wouldn't be a problem because that's what you used to see back in the day. That's why you got guys like Henry Armstrong, Sugar Robinson. They would fight 6-7 times a year, and 3 of those fights would be solid opposition, and maybe 4 were against tune-ups. But now that these guys are only fighting 2-3 times per year, a tune-up all of a sudden becomes a much harder proposition to digest. And 3 fights per year, that's being generous. Most of these guys only fight twice per year. So a tune-up all of a sudden becomes a very apparent name on that person's record. And then you go, yeah, why do we need tune-ups for? It's stupid. But I guess some of these guys need them nowadays with the inactivity. Iceman says, even Boots versus Sayas was a mismatch. Hold on a second. Iceman says, I thought Golden Boy resigned with the Zone. Yeah, they did, but I forget how long the deal is for. It's not that long, I don't think. Pancho Villa says, Don King understood the importance of matchmaking. These days, matchmakers are so concerned with keeping a fighter undefeated, they don't care if the fight is terrible. Exactly. It's and I thought the Zone was actually going to push for better fights. Now that a lot of these guys have nowhere else to go to, but no, I mean, we're still seeing some. I mean, I don't know. This Abdullah Mesa versus Albert Bell fight is pretty good, considering the fact that it was supposed to be Cordina. That was a solid matchup. But I don't want to see any more. We don't look. We boxing fans, especially with this economy, $500 for that the Zone Premium or whatever they call it package, Ultimate package. That is ridiculous. $500 in this economy. It's what are they thinking? More BDC says Top Rank has Rafael Espinoza. That's another guy that they should be pushing. However, that guy's 31 now, or I think 32 years old, so who knows how long he has left. Pancho Villa says that beating that Zayas took from Ennis shortened his career. Zayas' corner should have stopped it way sooner. No, I think the stoppage was good. Let him take a bit more of a beating before you decide to pull him out. Triple G Goat says Liam Cameron. Yeah, that was the guy. Thank you, Liam Cameron. That's the guy that almost beat Ben Whitaker. Skull Kid says Eddie Hearn protecting Ben Whitaker. That's the way it's looking. The Turk Solozzo says Estroben Whitaker is a hype job. Oh, estrogen. I think he meant to say estrogen Whitaker. Yeah, because remember, Whitaker, that's the thing I dislike about Whitaker is he likes to take a big game and then he tries to act all relaxed in the press conference. Like, he's got the eyebrows up like, oh yeah, I'm so relaxed here and I'm so surprised that these guys are coming at me, blah, blah. And he's crying in interviews. Like, you can't claim to be the bad guy and then be crying in interviews. I'm saying you can cry in the privacy of your own home, of your own domicile, but you're doing it on camera. All of a sudden, I don't buy the tough guy act anymore. You know what I mean? So some of these dudes need a PR guy or PR person to tell them, look, you're gonna play a character. You gotta take it from the pro wrestling world a little bit. You know, don't break kayfabe. Really try to stick to the character if you're so committed to it. But then crying on camera. Yeah, he's crying. Okay, the one I understand that there was one reporter who baited him with, bringing up his dead grandmother. Okay, that I understand. Even though I don't like it, I don't like the fact. I don't think you should be crying on camera. But okay, understandable. The reporter knew how to touch a nerve. Then the second time he was crying was after the Cameron rematch. He's crying about all the pressure he had and how they were being mean to him because they claim he quit. Oh, he started crying. He's like, come on, man. What's going on here? Pancho Villa says, ever since Floyd Mayweather's, the world sanctioning bodies will make anyone a number one contender and they'll let anyone fight for a world title. I'm getting sick of boxing politics. Look, the manipulation of the rating system has always been around pre-Mayweather, long before Mayweather. Hence why I dislike the sanctioning bodies. I pay no attention to them, or as much as as little as I have to. And shout out to Ring Magazine back in 2002 for putting me onto that, because when they took a stance and decided to revive the Ring Magazine Championship, and they said, look, the WBA had recently come out with a super champion status. Nowadays, it's normal. Nowadays, people just take it for granted, and they just make, oh yeah, WBC Super Champ, WBC Interim, Diamond, whatever, and they just go along with it. Ring Magazine took a stance 20-something years ago when that happened with the WBA Super status, and they said, no more. This is getting ridiculous. We already have 3 championship belts that we have to take seriously. Enough is enough. We're not taking any of them seriously. If they could have only seen, that's why I've always been eager to interview Nigel Collins, because I would be the former editor-in-chief for Ring Magazine, because he was the one that under his auspice revived, or as a Ring Magazine editor, by the way, revived the Ring Magazine Championship. He took a stance against the alphabet organizations. I would really like to ask him, how do you feel that so many years later, not only are people still taking the alphabet organization seriously, now we got the 4th one, the WBO, people count that one as a major organization. And that's why you got people out there going, well, Virgil Ortiz, he ain't never fought for a championship. So he fought Madrimov and Berenche. Who cares about the titles? That's the big problem with boxing. It does really incense me. Like, why do people just give them these organizations power? You're giving them power by recognizing them as legitimate organizations. Every time you bring up this guy's a champion, or this guy hasn't fought any champions, and you're using these alphabet organizations, these traps, these baubles of men's vanity as some sort of indicator of a guy's worth or a guy's talent, you're sanctioning the organizations. You're giving them power. Ignore them. Make fun of them. Degrade them. Like I do with women. No, I'm kidding. No, but that's what people should do with the sanctioning bodies. And now unfortunately, not many people go with that. We Final Night says, if they gave John Jones a tune-up something, someone is getting offed in the ring. Miso Dionysian says, we need Whitaker versus Morrell next. Oh yeah, that would be a good fight. That would be a decent. Actually, put Whitaker against that Chefchelios, the guy who beat Morrell. But I don't know if I don't even know if they want to go that far either. On the Matchroom side, Hard Rico says, no, they make every average fight as pay-per-view to justify this ridiculous annual package. Truffle says, long live 70s and 80s boxing. Mexican Boxing says, Mexico beating England. Let's go. Oh, man, I'm hoping. No offense to our British fans out there, but I mean, hey, listen. The World Cup only comes every 4 years. England, every time they go to the World Cup, for some reason, they're the championship contenders by the media. They're made contenders by the media. Mexico, we've never been this high. We've never made it this. No, yeah, we have made it this. We, by the way, why do I keep saying we? The team hasn't made it this far in a long time. Last time they went this far was in '86. Interestingly enough, also in Mexico. But it's Mexico's time, man. Come on, give us a break. Give us a break every once in a while. Or when I say us, I mean the country, not the team, because obviously I'm not playing. Inactivity is killing the sport. Ali fought 4 months after the Thriller in Manila, albeit against a bum. And nowadays, you wouldn't see him in the ring for at least a year, and it would be against a bum. I mean, that's the state of boxing nowadays. Mexican Boxing says, Argentina again cheated to win versus Cabo Verde. Morbid DC says, boxing started dying when the ABF got created. Pancho Villa says, Zayas took a bad beating, and if Zayas struggled to make weight, or if he didn't warm up properly, it's going to be worse. Zayas got hurt in the first round and got hurt in every other round. That's a beating. Skull Kid saying Argentina looked bad against Cabo Verde. Iceman says the world champion brings in casual boxing fans, and that's their target audience. That's the point. That's the problem, Iceman. That's the problem with the belts is that the promoters and the networks, they rely on them because, like you said, the casual boxing fans. If you put a championship boxing bout on the marquee or on a TV commercial or any type of commercial, that's going to attract some casuals. So that's why they rely on these championships. But you could do so as easily with the Ring Magazine Championship. You just got to get more people on board with it. But unfortunately, some of these, like I said, there's a financial incentive to go along with what the sanctioning bodies say. And so that's why we're at where we're at now. That doesn't excuse, however, fans from justifying or enabling, or what's the word I'm looking for here, sanctioning the boxing organizations. Lance Meyer is having a meltdown in the chat, going at it with people. Lance Meyer, it's too early in the morning for you to be acting like a jackass. That's all I'm saying. Hard Rico says, I would cheer for Mexico rather than for cocked England. Oh. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, there's a video circulating on Twitter about a guy being attacked by minorities, and then the police officers, instead of going after the instigators as they're fleeing, instead they go after the guy who got attacked. And then apparently the UK's police organization, I think it was Birmingham, they were saying like, please, we saw nothing wrong with the interaction. Please stop trying circulating the video. I wonder why they would tell people to stop circulating the video. In fact, when I looked at their official response, I saw that on Twitter the messages were limited to only people who were subscribed to that Twitter page, that Birmingham police official Twitter page. So I'm telling you, the police over there are not doing a good job. And in the United States, too, the Dallas cops that were attacking one of the Egyptian representatives for the Egyptian national team. And I'm thinking, well, what's going on with these cops? They got to train cops better. That's all I'm saying. A1 says Fu Boots probably takes a lot of punishment in the gym, but he doesn't realize it. He thought he was chilling in the third round. Yeah, and then they were bringing up rabbit punching on Twitter. People were saying, oh, but he brought up rabbit punching, and somebody on Twitter asked, where were the rabbit punches? And then people were, some Boots fans were trying to bring up or what I assume to be Boots fans, were bringing up screen caps of the so-called rabbit punches. But then people found the clips, the actual clips, and there weren't actual rabbit punches. Some of the shots were cuffing. That was cuffing, meaning you grabbing behind the head, or pretty much missing. Or there was one where Ennis, it hit him a little bit behind the head, but that's because he was turning his head away from the punch. So that wasn't exactly a rabbit punch per se, because it didn't land fully behind the head, and the guy was turning away from it, therefore not an egregious rabbit punch. Now, Ennis didn't say, he didn't specify whether the rabbit punches were purposeful or accidental. But nevertheless, people, that's the best they could come up with. 3 examples, 2 of which didn't really cut the mustard. But the point I'm trying to make is that there was this war going on Twitter about whether Ennis really does get hit a lot. And look, he's being hit a lot. Not Kavalauskas. Stanionis hit him a lot. Avenisian hit him. And when people say, well, everybody gets hit. Yeah, but look at that. Like I've said before, everyone gets hit. Not everyone gets hit as much as some people. That's why some people are described as being defensive geniuses, some people are described as being defensively sound, and some people are described as being defensively irresponsible, and then you got people that are just plain old punching bags, right? So there are degrees of defensiveness or defensive prowess going on. And Ennis, he's a better offensive fighter than he's defensive. And even some Ennis fans used to admit that. They would go, yeah, okay, he gets hit, but that's because he's very adroit and adamant about attacking. Okay, so you're admitting he gets hit a lot. But now after this Zayas fight, it's almost like they're going back to that narrative. Now, no, he doesn't get hit a lot. Watch his fights. He gets his head snapped back a lot. Now, Ortiz gets hit a lot too in some instances. Like, I mean, people bring up that he got dropped by Berenchik a lot. But if you watch those knockdowns, he wasn't hurt from those knockdowns. They were just off-balance shots. So if you want to criticize Ortiz for anything, it's bad feet placement. But he doesn't get his head snapped back around that much. That's because he's got a good guard. He tucks his chin in, which limits the amount of snapping that goes around with his head. Ennis, on the other hand, he drops his hands, he tries to roll with the shots too much, he tries to rely on his reflexes, and with that chin up in the air, yeah, he gets hit and he gets his head snapped back. And that, I think that's in part why a lot of people talk about how much he gets hit, because that's a very dramatic way of getting hit. That's the most dramatic way of getting hit. That's why you should always teach fighters the fundamentals. Hands up, chin tucked. That way, if you do get hit, the head doesn't snap around or side to side as much, and therefore doesn't signal to the crowd and the judges as much, hey, I got hit. Because otherwise the judges and the crowd take note of it, and now you're in a heap of trouble in terms of the scorecards. So that's that. It really is impressive how nobody wants any type of criticism of their favorite fighters. Like one of the guys that I like, not as much now again because of some of the inconsistencies with the training, but it was Navarrete. Because I like the fact that he went in there and he was all business, no trash talking, and he fought everybody. And he did it in an entertaining style, and unorthodox style at that. But I criticize him because of his lackadaisical training, his lifestyle, ballooning up in between fights. So imagine if I said, no, that's not true. It's the Photoshop and it's not that. Or, some people come up with this type of excuse for their fighters. They go, everybody blows up in between fights. Everybody has to cut a lot of weight. That's just the way it is now. Nah, it's not the way it should be, is what I'm saying. And so whether you like a fighter, whether you love a fighter, whether you want to be their friends, whatever, you should be able to look at a fighter and criticize him for his holes. Because then if you're analyzing a fight, just like Ennis, apparently the book on his team is that they don't realize that he gets hit a lot, and therefore they're not working on defense as much as they should. And eventually that's probably going to cost him, just like it cost Jared Hurd a couple of years ago, a career. You should be able to tell a fighter the truth. And if you're a fan of boxing, you should be able to see the truth too, because if you refuse to see it, eventually you're going to get a pick wrong. For example, Crawford versus Spence. A lot of Spence fans thought that Spence was the shit. He was going to walk through Crawford. Crawford is scared of him, blah, blah, blah. That's what they were saying for years. And then what happened? Crawford just beat the crap out of him. They refused to see that Spence wasn't as good as Crawford. Same thing with Stephen Fulton Inoue. Same thing with the Wilder fans, who for years were talking about his big right hand. They refused to see that he sucked as a fighter, technique-wise. And then they had a big awakening, a rude awakening, when Tyson Fury fought him. So you have to admit whether a guy is good or not. And even if he's good or you like him, whatever, there's no such thing as perfection in the ring or in the fight game. You have to be able to look at a guy and judge his worth, but also his deficiencies. And if you don't, like I said, eventually you're gonna analyze fights wrong. You're gonna get them wrong. And even if you think you see something, you're gonna get it wrong as well. I mean, take a look at the aforementioned Crawford. He got hit a lot too. That's why I thought Canelo was gonna beat him. But then when he fought Canelo, he tightened up his game. You don't usually see that. And that's what I was asking. Well, can Ennis do the same thing? I mean, we haven't seen it yet. The Zayas fight was his biggest fight yet. And he didn't really tighten up that defense a whole lot. It was mostly because he was beating Zayas to the punch, and he managed to keep up the intensity throughout the rounds that he managed to stop Zayas. But he still got hit a lot, particularly in the third round. So I don't know if he has the potential to do what Crawford did. If we fight all night, says people get on Shakur for 12-0 and Teo and say he was boring, but Boots knocking dudes out in 7 and people have every critique in the world. What more do you all want from a boxer? It's insane. I've seen that argument too from some people on Twitter saying, well, y'all criticize Shakur for being boring, but then criticize Ennis for getting hit. Yeah, because he does get hit. I mean, it's not like people are... I would understand the sentiment of anger of, people are never happy if the critique was fake, or if it was false, or if it was being pulled out of someone's ass, and it wasn't so. It wasn't actual or factual. But it is factual that Shakur Stevenson is boring, and it is factual that Ennis gets hit a lot. But that's the way some people want to try to defend their fighters. It's like, they want to try to make it about the people laying out the critique, as opposed to actually challenging the argument itself, which is that Ennis gets hit a lot. And it's true. You can either lie and say, no, he doesn't, or you can try to justify it and spin it like his fans do when they go, okay, well, he gets hit a lot, but it's because he's very offensive-minded, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. He gets hit a lot. And I haven't seen him make any adjustments in the last 3-4 years. Iceman says, Boots said Zayas so slow and no power, he didn't need to worry. That's why he went forward. Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I knew Zayas was slower than Boots, but from the get-go, even before the knockdown, Boots was already beating him to the punch. I mentioned that on the Discord live as the fight was ongoing. I was surprised at how much quicker, however, Boots was with his hands than Zayas. The Taker says Shakur is elite at running in the ring and running his mouth. Skullkid says, I heard there's Argentinian immigrants in Quintana Roo. Pancho Villa says Spence was way overrated. Spence gets hit a lot too. Yeah, Spence gets hit a lot too. And that's another guy that people were telling us. I remember when we used to talk about how he used to get hit a lot. Nah, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. And then look at him now. Tszyu is probably going to stop Spence early, he says. Mexican Boxing says Virgil stops Boots easy. He has no chin. I think he's talking about Boots there, having no chin. Iceman says huge difference in speed. Huge. We Fight All Night says you're going to get hit if you engage as much as he does, and why adjust when he's knocking everybody out? Okay, yeah, but the fact remains he gets hit a lot. That's just, again, people can offer up an explanation. He's getting hit. And by the way, when he fought Stanionis, the first 3 rounds, he didn't really try to go at Stanionis. He tried to box more, and he was still getting his head snapped back as he was going back. That's because, again, there's this, Steve Kim, I heard him say this on the 3 knockdown rule. He says that maybe Ennis could potentially fight in a more boring fashion, but he chooses not to. I don't think he can, by the way. Listen, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm going to be wrong like the way I was about Crawford, that he got hit a lot and he ended up adjusting his defense against Canelo. But I haven't seen it from Ennis. Again, he's tried to do it. He tried to do it against Stanionis, backing up, and he was backing up in a straight line, chin up in the air, and he was getting his head snapped back. It was only when he started doing precisely that, coming forward and letting his hands go, that he started pushing Stanionis back and dominating him. But I don't think he has the ability to back foot bitch it and make it a boring fight like Shakur Stevenson. Because I think that's the argument that some people are trying to present. Like, oh, you critique Shakur Stevenson for being boring, but then you critique Ennis for being getting hit. Pick one. Well, I don't have to pick one. If a guy gets hit a lot and it's the reality, I can criticize the guy for getting hit a lot. I'm not criticizing. Again, it's 2 distinct things. Shakur Stevenson is boring. Ennis isn't boring. I'm not complaining about Ennis's entertainment value. What I'm critiquing is the reality that he gets hit a lot. And what I'm questioning is this narrative that's bordering on pugilistic erotica, that if Ennis wanted to, he could be winning decisions 12-0 against some of these opponents. I don't think he could. I haven't seen that ability from him, because when he's tried it against Stanionis, he reverted back to just punching. Al Cuerpo says Crawford and Ennis are different, and Ennis takes more initiative with offense. Crawford relies on countering solely. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. What else? Okay, I'm talking a lot here, but I'm not getting to some of the stuff that we have to get to here, because I was going to talk about, we were talking about Turki Al-Sheikh, right? Turki Al-Sheikh and having that meeting with Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. And, as a representative of Sufa TKO, Sheikh also was in that meeting, and he also met with Nick Khan the very same day. So there's the possibility that he was relaying information back and forth. Well, Joe Habib, okay, because then we saw De La Hoya then. He started complaining about, how come I wasn't at the meeting? How come Bob Arum and the PBC representatives weren't at the meeting? Well, maybe it's because they're not really interested in working with you that much right now. I don't know what it could mean. Maybe they don't. Maybe that is representative of the lack of power that those organizations have right now. So then De La Hoya said, who wants to see Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia? I'd rather see Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, he said. Well, Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia is being worked on. There were reports a couple of weeks ago, or days ago rather, that Eddie Hearn and The Zone had sent cease and desist letters to Zuffa DKO about courting Ryan Garcia for a Conor Benn fight. That is because Ryan Garcia has a contract with The Zone. He's a The Zone fighter. And of course, he has some sort of options with Golden Boy Promotions. Not a full-on promotional contract, I don't believe. But he does have some sort of connection with them. So then, this is what happened here. This character here by the name of Broomy says, Golden Boy have a co-promotional deal within this. I'm not disputing Garcia has a fight left with Ring Saudi, but Golden Boy have to be named as co-promoter is what I'm saying. I don't think Oscar wants a soul back. He just wants to be included per contract along with The Zone. So Habib replied by saying, Ryan did the deal directly with Ring Riyadh. Oscar will have no say in the next fight. Broomy replied by saying, no one is saying Oscar will have a say. I'm saying Oscar has to be involved as per his contract with Ryan. I'm also saying as it stands, he has to be on The Zone as per contract. However, I'm sure The Zone would step away from their legal position should they be compensated a la AJ versus Paul. Habib replied, Ryan will pay him his percentage, of course. No one is saying he's not going to get taken care of financially. That was never in question. He just won't have any involvement in terms of making any decisions about this particular fight. When you take the money, you have to do what you're told. That's part of the arrangement. Okay, so just to recap. the initial back and forth between Habib and Brumi was that Golden Boy is going to have to be involved in a Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn fight. In other words, De La Hoya has to be involved, and there was also the suggestion that if Golden Boy didn't want that fight to happen, they would manage to kibosh it. But the reality, like Habib is saying, is that Ryan Garcia only has a co-promotional deal with De La Hoya. So the promoter can't, I don't know if the promoter's job is to present fights to his fighter. Options. We got this guy, we got that guy, who do you want to fight? We can make a fight happen, we can promote it. I'm not entirely sure within that deal how much De La Hoya has a say in whether he can actually reject a fight for his fighter or not. I mean, a promoter's job in essence is also to get the best fights possible for his opponent. For his fighter. So if Ryan Garcia feels, hey, this is an easy fight or relatively easy fight or a winnable fight and it's for a lot of money, then the promoter should be, in essence, pursuing that fight. I mean, that's why we're talking about mismatches. That's why sometimes we see fighters taking on faded names, but nevertheless names who still retain some sort of value in the boxing sphere, and therefore they go for that fight because it's a low risk, high reward type of fight. And we often complain about it, right? But that's the way the promoters pursue it because it behooves them financially to do so, and it behooves their fighter financially as well to do so. It benefits them. But now all of a sudden, why would De La Hoya refuse to make that fight happen for his fighter? Why would he refuse that Conor Benn bout for Ryan Garcia? Why? Because he's got it in for his competitors, Zuffa TKO and Dana White? I mean, it makes no sense. Also, if Ryan Garcia wants... So I would like to know more details about that co-promotional deal. And even this guy, Brumi, that's going at it with Habib, is saying, well, yeah, the zone's probably going to let the fight happen on Paramount Plus or Netflix if they get compensated. Well, there you go. So that the fight it should probably be allowed to happen. It's like when Kambosos left ESPN for one fight. He didn't leave Top Rank, by the way. He still had to pay Bob Arum, his official promoter, a percentage. Or not necessarily Bob Arum, but Top Rank. He had to give him a percentage of the fight because they are his official promoters, even though the fight took place on the zone in a Matchroom promoted event. So these type of things can happen. That's why we brought up the whole Jairo Petaya versus Benavides fiasco, where Benavides from the get-go, his side was saying, well, we're not going to fight Petaya because he's over at Zuffa TKO. Well, did you try to negotiate with him? Did you try to make the fight happen? They didn't even try. And some of his fans were like, yeah, well, there you go. It's Opetaya's fault that he signed with Zuffa TKO. I was like, well, wait a minute. These fights can still happen between different promotional entities, especially if the money is right and if things can get worked out. So it appears as if the Conor Benn Ryan Garcia fight can happen. And again, they're already announcing dates, September the 12th. So again, never say never with boxing, or should I say, never say a fight is on until it's actually on. But we'll see what happens. This whole thing of, well, the Golden Boy can refuse the fight. Can they really refuse the fight for their fighter? Then we have another tweet here. Hold on a second. There was another tweet here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. This is the BDA morning show here. Trying to get you through the morning. And, okay, yeah, there we go. Make sure to hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. We're talking about the current going on there between the Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn fight, and whether Golden Boy and Zuffa TKO can work together, and whether Golden Boy can actually stop the fight from happening. Then this account on Twitter, Fight Club 24/7, says, I was led to believe originally it would be on Netflix, talking about the Conor Benn Garcia fight. Now it looks like it's on Paramount. I've heard that Garcia has struck a deal to let the zone air it in different territories, but I get told a lot of things. Let's see if it gets announced. I'm told next week, but who knows? This was tweeted yesterday, July the 3rd. So we'll probably hear, if this guy's contacts and sources are correct, we might hear about this potential fight, or more about this potential fight, later on this week. Talking about July 7th or thereabouts. So, July the 6th or thereabouts. So make sure to stay tuned for that. That's a good fight, by the way. Conor Benn, Ryan Garcia, I think it's going to be an action fight. I don't know who wins it, but I suppose we're going to talk more about it later on, because we got to get to other stuff here. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, Abdullah Mason, when I was talking about the whatchamacallit, the Albert Bell fight. This is what Mason had to say about the Sam Noakes fight, which again, very entertaining fight last year, where Abdullah Mason was matched tough against a very strong fighter. He said, "I feel like it was a definitely much needed experience. That's not the type of fight you have all the time in your career. It was something I felt like I had to do that night. Every fight is different, and it definitely gave me some insight into how I'll approach the rest of my career. So it was a much needed experience and a great fight." Well, it was definitely a great fight. And Abdullah Mason showed us that he actually could withstand the pressure because, there's a lot of prospects out there. Mason, by the way, he's a big puncher and fast-handed. And in the past, we have seen guys with quick hands and a lot of power go in there and blow their opposition out in 3 rounds, thereabouts. And then when they fight a guy who can take the punch and give it back, all of a sudden they crumble. Or they start back foot bitching it or they start holding. Mason didn't do that. He went to the body. He actually hurt Noakes a couple of times and managed to tough it out against Noakes. So that's the type of stuff you want to see in a prospect. Not a clinching and back foot bitching. And Mason does look like a more mentally balanced individual than, say, Keyshawn Davis, who has tried bullying him in the past during press conferences. And of course, we know that Keyshawn Davis has had moments where he snaps mentally. He appears to be a very mentally unbalanced individual. And so it's good to see that Mason so far doesn't suffer from those ailments. Also, he doesn't suffer from the brother ailment, as IBFP would coin it, in the sense that Abdullah Mason has said in the past, look, unless we're blood brothers, we're going to fight. He's open to fight anybody, whether they're friends, colleagues, sparring partners, whatever. As long as they're not related by blood, he says he will fight them in the ring. So shout out to Abdullah Mason for maintaining that stance, or for at least stating it, because we need more guys to point out this bizarre nature, this bizarre occurrence where, oh, well, he's my friend and we came up in the trenches. Did you go to war together or something? Because if you just sparred together and knew each other in the amateurs, then that's not exactly going up through the trenches or coming up through the trenches. Speaking of Ryan Garcia, by the way, he came up with some interesting comments. He's had this to say, by the way. Hold on a second. You guys would be surprised, but Devin, talking about Devin Haney, I suppose, would actually beat Boots. I mean, did you see how Devin Haney had to fight Brian Norman, by the way? Jabbing and clinching, jabbing and clinching, jabbing and clinching. How do you think he would handle Boots' speed? Norman is quick, but Boots is faster. Straighter shots, better technique, much better body puncher. I don't know what Ryan Garcia is talking about. And I know Devin Haney, they were sort of looking at, but the Haneys were sort of mentioning Boots at some point, but they wanted to do it with special weight classes. So that tells you, even then, now that Boots looked sensational against Anders Zayas, I don't think they would, I think now less, so more than ever, the Haneys want to fight him. I mean, what I'm saying is I don't think they want to fight him. And look, Ryan Garcia has speed and power, by the way. But he's not as intense, or he's not as good as maintaining the intensity as Boots has been so far. So if he could drop Devin Haney and make him crap his pants, what do you think Jaron Ennis would do? Is there the possibility that Boots' jab and clinch approach could work against Boots? Maybe. But I mean, I don't know what Ryan Garcia is saying. Maybe he's just trying to prop up Devin Haney, because that is, up until now, Ryan Garcia's best performance. We can't call it a win because of the shenanigans that took place with VADA and all that. But what we saw on Saturday, April, whatever it was, 2024, yeah, Ryan Garcia dished out a beating on Devin Haney. So maybe that's why he's trying to prop up Haney, sort of trying to make that look better for him. Ryan Garcia also tweeted out recently, and this is what he had to say, and I quote, "It's actually really frustrating being Mexican-American and having to hear from my own blood and people giving me shit. Leave me alone. I'm here representing fighting and enjoying my culture. USA is where I was born, and Mexico is running through my blood." I mean, it's true. If you look at Mexican-Americans' DNA, it doesn't say Mexican-American. It doesn't say Tejano. It doesn't say Californian. It says, it's probably going to come back whatever the Mexican indicates. But it is a reality that some people have to balance that, Mexican-Americans in particular, because a lot of these guys are born in Mexico, in the United States, but they look Mexican. Some of these guys even speak Spanish at home. But what are they? Are they American? Are they Mexican? Are they Mexican-American? I mean, it's a different thing to balance. or a line to walk. So I understand why Garcia is saying that. As far as I'm concerned, he's of Mexican descent. But if he wants to claim he's American, well, yeah, he's an American citizen, so he can say that. But as it concerns, he's got Mexican DNA in him, and by all accounts, he's a Mexican. So I guess you could say he's American of Mexican descent. Because Mexican American, I forget. Somebody was giving a counter argument to why Mexican American, the term doesn't really fit. Whatever. But you can see that he's being given crap for that. And I think that's always the bane of the Mexican American, that there are Mexicans who will call them, oh, you're not real Mexicans. Like, what does that mean? I live in Canada. I was born in Mexico. I speak Spanish. I speak Spanish at home. I speak Spanish with my family. But even I've been accused sometimes on the Twitter sphere, like, oh, he lives in Canada. He's not a real Mexican. It's like, what does that mean? I know Eric Morales once said that. He says, if to be a real Mexican, you have to live in Mexico. I go, okay, so my DNA, what? My DNA is going to come back non-Mexican? I don't understand how that works. So even, again, a Mexican-born... and by the way, I've been accused of that by Mexican Americans. People that weren't even born in Mexico. They're accusing me of not being a real Mexican. So I was born in Mexico, and I have a Mexican passport. I have dual citizenship. And yet for some reason, I'm not a real Mexican, according to some. So that's how insane it gets sometimes with some of these Mexicans. Then again, some of these Mexicans who tend to accuse us of not being Mexican, blah, blah, blah. In other words, the Mexicans that tend to get into this type of discussion and who launch those accusations, for some reason, I've noticed they tend to be drinking when they do so. So I think they only do that when they're drunk. I don't know. Be that as it may, that's what Garcia was complaining about. And check this out. I think maybe Conor Benn latched onto that or noticed that because he had a message for Ryan Garcia. Here is a sweaty Conor Benn walking on the treadmill at the gym. He had a message for Ryan Garcia.
Hey, Ryan, eres un pendejo. No eres mexicano. Deja de mentir a la gente.
So if you don't speak Spanish, he say, hey, Ryan, you're not... What did he say in the beginning? Eres un pendejo.
Hey, Ryan, eres un pendejo.
All right, so that's a curse word right there. He's insulting Ryan Garcia.
No eres mexicano.
And he say, you're not Mexican.
Deja de mentir a la gente.
Stop lying to the people. And then he smiles there. Okay, so I like how he says pendejo, by the way, because so many people, when they, like, for example, native English speakers who don't speak Spanish, when they say pendejo, they say pendejo. The O, they really go pendejo. It's pendejo. Pen, like a pen. Ho, like a hoe. Pendejo. And actually, not even ho, because ho is more of a pronounced O. How would you guys say the O? Like, which word how do you pronounce something in English with O? Pendejo, O. You see, that's the thing. That's why it's difficult for a lot of English speakers to say pendejo, because there's not a lot of words where they have to say O with that type of enunciation.
Hey, Ryan, eres un pendejo.
Yeah, he said it well, man. Pendejo.
No eres un pendejo.
And that's the other thing. A lot of English people, too, there's not a lot of words, too, when you say pendejo. In German, actually, it's interesting because English comes from Germanic, which is a more guttural, that type of language. But what? Anyway, I'm it's getting into the BDA linguistic hour here. We're gonna move on from that. But yeah, so there you see Conor Benn calling out Ryan Garcia, saying he's not real Mexican and calling him a pendejo. And I don't know. I guess Conor Benn is claiming he's more Mexican because he grew up in Spain, I believe. So he knows how to speak Spanish, and by virtue of that, the fact that he speaks Spanish, I guess he's trying to say he's more Mexican or more authentically Spanish than Ryan Garcia. And then he had this to say, by the way.
¡Chinguen a su madre los gabachos por culero!
I don't know if that was actually Conor Benn, by the way. We have to fact check that. We're gonna my team is gonna fact check that during the show. So that's what's going on there between Ben and Ryan Garcia. And I gotta tell you, I think it's a pretty good fight. Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia. I think it could be an entertaining fight. On paper, you would think that Ryan Garcia would win this fight because Conor Benn is going to jump on him, and Ryan Garcia is a power punching counter puncher. So you would think, okay, that's the type of fight he wants, right? A guy who's just going to jump on him. However, the flip side to that coin could be that Conor Benn, he closes the distance faster than people give him credit for, by the way. He's got good foot speed and hand speed. We saw against Chris Eubank that he can crack. Now, I guess the counter argument to that is, okay, yeah, he dropped Chris Eubank in the rematch, but Chris Eubank looked like crap in that one. He was dehydrated, and then he had to have some sort of medical procedure done on him. which included, I think, some sort of colonoscopy. I don't know if you remember that Chris Eubank Jr. after the Conor Benn fight, that he did a dirty thing. There, Chris Eubank Jr. He goes, I don't want to make any excuses, but I was dealing with a lot of things. So in other words, he's making excuses. And then he was like, his promoter was trying to say things. I think it was Ben Shalom was trying to say some things about if people only knew what Chris Eubank Jr. had to deal with in the build-up to this fight. And then Chris Eubank from the back of the press conference, he just starts going, no, hey, Ben, no. So he was trying to say, like, don't make any excuses. But then he started coming up with excuses saying, oh, I had to, I was dealing with some medical stuff that I hadn't taken care of before, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the point is, Conor Benn dropped him. That Chris Eubank Jr. Rematch might not be indicative of how good Conor Benn is because, again, Chris Eubank Jr. might have been compromised. Nevertheless, what I saw from from Conor Benn in the first fight was that he could close the distance quickly. He's a quick fighter. He's full of energy. And we've seen when Ryan Garcia fights pressure fighters, the last time he fought one was Duarte. He was holding a lot, giving him the Busi roll. If Chris Eubank manages to cut the distance and Ryan Garcia and gets past Ryan Garcia's reach, are we going to see Ryan Garcia fight on the inside or are we going to see him clinch? Also, don't forget, when he fought Rolly Romero, he got dropped in the second round, I believe. And after that, it became a boring fight. Both guys, Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia, were just content to jab at each other. I really am surprised with how people say, oh, he lost Rolly, Romero schooled him. Some people say Romero clearly beat him, and I'm thinking, clearly people haven't rewatched that fight if they believe that. And I understand why people wouldn't want to rewatch the fight because, as I said, it was boring. But I rewatched it a number of times for the year-end review that we did, the boxing's most shocking moments of 2025. And you rewatch that segment from that video, and you will conclude that the fight was very boring. But it was also very competitive. I think Rolly Romero edged it in at the end. I think he really surged ahead in the end with some body shots. But it was a very mundane fight. But what I'm trying to say is that even though Ryan Garcia is underrated in some aspects, there are some other aspects where, the critique is valid. He gets hit, he gets hurt, and all of a sudden he receded into a shell against Rolly Romero. And then he claimed he had a hurt hand, and indeed he did get surgery for that hand. But still, you're losing against Rolly Romero. So what I'm trying to say is, I have very little confidence in Ryan Garcia. Against Mario Barrios, I had so much low confidence in Garcia, by the way, that I even was skeptical about whether he was going to get past Mario Barrios. That should let you know how little confidence I have in Garcia. Now, to Garcia's credit, he did step it up against Barrios. He dropped him and dominated him throughout the fight. But that was Mario Barrios. And by the way, Barrios had a title at that time. And he was ranked number 10 in the welterweight rankings by Ring Magazine. So that should tell you all you need to know about the championship belts. When people go, oh, this guy beat a champion. This guy, like Xander Zayas, unified champion. Yeah, but who did he beat, right? Just because you have a title doesn't mean you're good. I mean, look at Mario Barrios. Was he a champion, a real champion because he had a belt? No. He was at the bottom rung of an already weak welterweight division. But anyway, so at least Ryan Garcia dominated him. Because if he would have struggled with Mario Barrios, that would have been bad news. But at least he dominated him. So that did redeem him a little bit in my eyes. That, okay, but now let's see from here on out, Ryan Garcia, let's see what you do. Are you still dedicated? Are you going to go in there? Or the next time you lose or have a bad performance, are we going to hear excuses? I didn't train properly, bro. I wasn't training properly. You know what affected me was Mexicans saying that I wasn't a real Mexican. Oh, that really affected me, bro. Nah, I don't want to hear any of that. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is that, the Conor Benn fight would be dangerous for both guys. You would have to give the edge to Ryan Garcia, but you just never know because, like I said, Conor Benn is very quick. He's a bit of an underrated puncher, despite what he showed against Regis Prograis. It's true that, there's a lot of criticism about the Regis Prograis fight, but he did beat up Prograis a little bit in there. He did beat him up a little bit. I think people don't realize how many shots Prograis really took in that one. And I think that the bar for Conor Benn was that he was going to stop Prograis, but Prograis has never been stopped. So, again, it wasn't the worst fight from Conor Benn, but because of that fight, I understand why people say he should be the underdog against Ryan Garcia. But anyway, that's what we have there for that fight. What else are people saying in the chat here? Don't forget to hit the like, really helps us out. It's the BDA morning show here, trying to get you through the morning. What are people saying? Shout out to Telkines. Telkines in the chat says, Turk about to get a cease and desist from Oscar. Hard Recall says, Iceman, one sweetest one of the sweetest upsets in boxing history. I don't know what, I'm going to check out what they're referring to. Al Cuerpo says Chipotle uses Guatemalan meat and German lettuce from the Bronx. Hashtag fail. Robin Hood says Proger was shot by then. Robin the Hood says threatened to kill me on the tavern. Now he's gone. What he said? Oh, he says what happened to Pigeon? He threatened to kill me on the tavern. Now he's gone. Really? Gotta watch out for the Pigeon Meister, man. I mean, Pigeon Meister. He looks like a serial killer, and he might just be one. Joshua Cotto says Tszyu will take care of Rolly. Yeah, maybe. Al Cuerpo says Romero and Garcia was a bore fest. Yeah, it really was. Sid Boxing says F the 4th of July, you yank rats. Oh, my goodness gracious. Al Cuerpo says colonoscopy. What? Whistle. Yeah, that's Chris Eubank Jr. I don't know why it's not. He had some sort of operation or procedure. Hold on a second. He had some sort of medical procedure after the Ben rematch. And he was like, oh my God, I had to get, he was trying to, he wasn't outright saying, I have excuses, but what he was showing was excuses. Look at him. I think he's getting a colonoscopy there. Allegedly. Some sort of colonoscopy I don't know what's going on there exactly. I'm not a doctor, so. But it looks like he's getting a colonoscopy, and that's what we're going to go with from now on. Johnny Durag says Conor Benn looked like a destroyer for a couple of fights before he popped for the juiced up Easter eggs. It could have been that, but could also be in the fact that some of the guys he was fighting were sort of past it. Then again, Regis Prograis was past it, and Conor Benn couldn't drop him or stop him. So, yeah, you're right. There is something to that. Maybe there is something to that. What else we have here? What else are people saying? Somebody's cutting trees out there, by the way, so hopefully you guys don't hear that. Miso Dionysus says Ryan said he was 12% Portuguese. Oh yeah, he did say that, didn't he? He also said, "Oh, my mother is Portuguese" or something like that. Miss M. Quentin Tarantino says, "No le hagas caso." What the hell? Why is that? Why is that in Spanish? But in my chat, it's in English. What's going on here? When I click on it, it's in Spanish. YouTube is on a weird thing now where they're actually correcting things on the fly, and now even translating things on the fly. That's interesting. But if I want to read it in the original, I don't want that feature. So how do I take that off? Anyway, Quentin Tarantino says no le hagas casos a esos estadounidenses, BDA, esos que saben de ser verdaderos mexicanos. You're the best. Okay, so he's saying don't pay attention to the Americans, BDA, those who are real Mexicans. No, he's saying those who know. In other words, he's saying those who know. Like those who know are the real Mexicans. You're the best. Well, shout out to you, Tarantino. Thank you for your the kind words there. And I don't pay much attention to it. I mean, I was born in Mexico. I am Mexican. Whatever they can say, whatever they say, it makes can't change that. So, I think what it is some Mexican Americans believe that, or they put some sort of I don't know. I don't understand. Oh, I'm real Mexican. What the hell does that mean anyway? And why would you? How is that better or worse than being Mexican but being born in the United States, or being Mexican and moving to another country? Like, it makes no sense. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these people I've noticed, they tend to be inebriated when they start bringing up that argument. And I think maybe they put a lot of worth in being Mexican. If so, shout out to them. But I really don't put any worth. I mean, some people are born in other countries. It's out of their control. Or what do you want from them? Some people move to other countries and it's out of their control. But it doesn't change the fact of where one person was born or what's in one person's DNA. So anyway, yeah, it's a dumb conversation to have. Al Cuerpo says colonoscopy or prostate exam. Wow, yeah, that's what it looks like. It doesn't look like anything else at picture. Telkan says the English players are on Viagra to adjust to the altitude. Is that real, by the way, that they're actually giving them Viagra to adjust to the altitude? That is insane. Al Cuerpo says I was on my seat yelling for Cabo Verde to go hard. Yeah, shout out to Cabo Verde, man. The dream is over. The dream is over. Let me take a drink of my... Hold on a second. Nice little drink there. Black tea. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. He says, I was on my seat yelling for Cabo Verde. Yeah, that was a hell of a game, man. That was a hell of a game. Cabo Verde scoring when they were down. When it was 2-1, I said, okay, it's over. Argentina's going to win. And then Cabo Verde scored. I don't think Argentina is winning this World Cup again, let me tell you. First of all, the last time somebody won a World Cup 2 events in a row was Brazil, and that was in the 60s and 70s, I think. That was a long time ago. Football's changed a lot, and usually the country that won the World Cup doesn't win it 4 years later again, because just to get to the final, you gotta jump to so many hoops. It's even an amazing feat that France was able to make it to the final last time, considering that they'd won it in 2018. So anyway, I'm getting ready to see Canada versus Morocco later on today, because again, I do live in Canada and I do consider myself a Canadian in spirit as well, since I've lived here for so long. And I'm rooting for Canada against Morocco at 1 p.m. Eastern time, but I don't think they get past Morocco, man. But hopefully they do. I don't know. Al Cuerpo says Argentina got easy squads up to the 16th round, and now against Egypt, easy work. Yeah, I mean, come on, they're playing Egypt. I mean, it's a. I don't know. Some people are postulating that FIFA wants Argentina to make it to the final, or at least this quarterfinal, this new round of quarterfinals that they have. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's still a long way to go. Joshua Cotto says, BDA, why does Argentina have it easier than the three host nations? They haven't played any elite teams, and they play Egypt in the round of 16. FIFA loves Argentina. Well, there you go. See, that's what I'm telling you. There's that sentiment that FIFA is protecting Argentina. Some people are saying that FIFA is protecting Argentina too because they have Messi, who's one of the big names in the World Cup, even at his advanced age, and that they want to keep that guy around in the tournament for as long as they can. Miso Dionysio says, I think the Colombia is going to beat them. Talking about Argentina. Well, yeah, Colombia has to get past Switzerland, and then Argentina would have to get past Egypt, which they're probably going to. And then I think the dream match that some people want is for England to beat Mexico, so that eventually Argentina and England could face each other off, I think. Alejandro Solis says FIFA is rigged. Joshua Cotto says, my mom is 70. She literally said, "Fuck Messi," and my dad laughed. Yeah, a lot of people don't like Messi. He's kind of grown into a bit of a cantankerous figure. Anyway, listen, we got to get back to boxing here because we have a lot of things to get to here. So make sure to hit the like. Really helps us out. It's interesting. I've talked about, if you followed our Second Renaissance program, which is our non-boxing program, I've often talked about AI, robots. I'm not convinced that the AI takeover is going to happen anytime soon. I'm very skeptical of this so-called AI technology. We haven't reached full-on, they call ChatGPT and DeepSeek and what's the other one that Joe Rogan's always promoting? What's it called? Perplexity or something like that. And they call it AI. It's not really AI. Artificial intelligence means just that, artificial intelligence. So if I remember my definition of AI correctly, it has to be sentient. It has to be self-aware. And so far, we haven't gotten to that. Some people will claim, no, yeah, it has passed the Turing test. And therefore, we do have real sentient, self-aware artificial intelligence. I don't think we have that so far. And I've read a couple of books on the matter, and just as many people saying, like Ray Kurzweil saying, oh, yeah, we're going to get it in 10 years. Then it's in 15 years. Then it's 20 years. No, we're going to get it soon. Some people are skeptical that we're ever going to get full-on artificial intelligence. So anyway, that's where I'm at. But I'm also a little bit worried about how some of these scientists, some of these AI people are so... what's the word I'm looking for here? They're very happy and they're very excited about AI coming through. And I don't know, man. I don't go for that AI stuff. Hold on a second. I'm very skeptical of the AI thing. So, and I don't like how some of these technocrats are really. It seems like they hate humanity and anything that has to do with humanity and emotions. Like, oh, emotions are bad. Emotions are. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, why are emotions bad? They guide us in life. I mean, if you get overwhelmed by your emotions, yeah, I understand. Then it's bad. But anyway, I was trying to prevaricate here and stall because I want to play this video here. If indeed the machines take over one day, and if indeed that does happen, which I doubt, but let's say it happens one day, at least we have people fighting on our side. And one of the people I would like to have on our side is former junior welterweight champion, 2-division champion, Teofimo Lopez. Check out here. He's preparing for the future AI war. Check this out. Look at him go, man.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh!
Come on, Teo. You got to get on the inside, man. Why he's not getting any on the, he's got to throw some punches. Oh, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. See, that's the thing. I think Teofimo Lopez is he needs to spar some of these robots before he can get a feel for them. You know, the timing, the speed, the power, and all that. That was a feel-out round. So we got Teofimo Lopez joining the human ranks against our potential future robot overlords. So there you go. We have Teofimo Lopez taking on the machines. Teofimo Connor. What else was I going to say here? All right, so this is a bit of a weird story here. Richardson Hitchens also getting into, because we haven't even scratched the surface of the whole Tank Davis, Devin Haney drama that occurred yesterday on Twitter. But Hitchens getting into a little bit of it too. Richard Hitchens was recently on the Versace podcast. He was at the Versace temple, and you see him there looking very shiny forehead. Somebody get him some tissues. He had this to say about some people contacting him for potential fights, and it was none other than, according to him, Gervonta Davis. Hitchens said, and I quote, "He writes to me on Instagram. I DM'd him, send me a contract if he has any real problems. If he has any real problems," Hitchens said, "send me a contract." So it's interesting. He claims that Tank Davis contacted him, and I wouldn't be surprised, because in the last episode we were talking about how Tank Davis contacted his old amateur foe who beat him, I think, 2 or 3 times in the amateurs. That dude that he was contacting him beat Tank Davis, by the way. I'm just trying to clarify. And even there's a footage out there that surfaced of the guy dropping Tank Davis in an actual amateur fight. And Tank Davis was writing to him, talking to him, calling him a bum, even making fun of the guy's kid. And so it wouldn't surprise me if Tank Davis just goes on a rampage, DMing people back and forth, probably at night too, by the way. And I for some reason, I imagine Tank Davis sort of like half hammered, half drunk, in his underwear, dancing, then texting, then dropping the phone and going back to dancing. That I don't know why that image keeps going through my head, that Tank Davis is sort of going nuts inside his house. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was contacting Hitchens. However, Richardson Hitchens is interesting because somebody dug up some old tweets of his. This is from Benji on Twitter, and he says 2 years ago Hitchens was reasoning docking Matias for the IBF rehydration clause, and then he ended up fighting Liam Paro not that long thereafter for the same belt. Check out what he had to say. Hold on a second. For some reason, if you don't have Twitter, if you're not on your Twitter account, it won't let you play videos anymore. They really want you to subscribe to Twitter, and I don't go for that. Nobody tells me. No technocratic Silicon Valley empire is going to tell me what to do. No, sorry, Bob. So let me play it another way here. All right, so this is Richard Hitchens a couple of years ago talking about how he refused to fight for the IBF because of a dehydration clause.
Who you want first? Like, how do you think you line up against Haney? How do you line against Rowley? How do you line against Mattel? How do you line against Tszyu?
I will fight any one of them guys. I will fight any one of them guys, like I said before. Besides fighting for the IBF with Subriel Matias. I feel like Subriel Matias is a tough test for any fighter. If it was another champion that wasn't as a force to be reckoned with like Subriel Matias, I probably would have took a risk and fight for the IBF. But because I know the chances entering that ring, I would want to be at my best. So I feel like besides him, if I got the first opportunity I get.
So I think that's the key right there. If I was at my best, meaning if he fights for the IBF, rehydration clause is on point. The hydration clause is right there. Then he has to abide by it, and that he wouldn't be at his best. But he did end up fighting Liam Paro, so he was willing to fight Liam Paro and abide by the rehydration clause, but he wasn't willing to do it for Matias. So Richard Hitch is not looking all that great, man. In his tough fight against Lemos, he was clinching a lot. Then he ducked Oscar Duarte. And then this video resurfacing here of him saying he didn't want to fight Matias because he wouldn't be, Hitchens talking about himself, wouldn't be at his best. But he was willing to fight Liam Paro, even though he would be restrained and constrained by a rehydration clause. So Hitchens not looking too good, man. Maybe that's why Tank Davis wants to fight him. Because he knows Hitchens might have, so that maybe that's why some people call him Richardson Bitchens. I don't know. Interestingly enough, talking about Tank Davis, like I said, he's really been on a rampage ever since and again, there's still some contention about whether it's his account or not, but he's been posting on there a different account. It's one that's featuring a photograph of a woman, I think it's a woman, that looks like Clarissa Shields, and he's been on a rampage, man, going back and forth with people, and I don't know why he went after Bomac. I mean, it's not that he's wrong, but it's just who's holding the mitts there, it appears, or not even the mitts, just those ping pong pads or whatever, with Tiger Johnson. Somebody says, wow, I didn't know Bomac is Tiger's trainer. And then Tank Davis, or allegedly Tank Davis, said, no way this can be my coach. So he's sort of, I mean, from what I can interpret there, he's saying, hey, I would never have a coach, someone this fat, be my trainer. And yeah, look, the Bomac empire is sort of falling apart, as some of us predicted, sort of going the Virgil Hunter, what's his name, Canelo's trainer, Reynoso, the Reynoso way. Those guys, because they had a pound for pounder on their stable, little by little started accumulating and attracting a bunch of fighters to their stable. You know, like remember, Reynoso had Andy Luis all of a sudden, Ryan Garcia, people going to that stable, and then little by little, the Oscar, what's his name, Valdez. But then you could see that Reynoso wasn't a miracle worker. Same thing with Virgil Hunter. When he had Andre Ward, all of a sudden, Andre Berto jumps in, Angulo jumps in, Amir Khan, and he wasn't a miracle worker either. And where is he now, Virgil Hunter? You haven't seen him around in a while, right? And to a certain degree, Buddy McGirt too. Oh, he was the king of the Wizards. But at least Buddy McGirt, he's still around, and he really did work some high-level magic. Antonio Tarver knocking out Roy Jones, resurrecting Arturo Gati's career. I think he was working with Johnny Tapia for a while there too. So he was a good trainer. He's still a good trainer. I think he's working with a lot of Eastern Europeans now, or Central Asian fighters. But yeah, Bomac, I mean, you're starting to see him too. Richard Torres, another one of the recent victims of people who thought that I'm going to go with Bomac because he's going to turn me into Terence Crawford. And nah, that didn't work out against Sanchez. And so Bomac, I think the train is pulling out for him, and pretty soon. Now, okay, so that's what. So Tank Davis, I don't know why he was going after Bomac, but he did. Let me do that, Tank. Don't do it yourself. Don't sully yourself doing that. Let us boxing commentators do that. Derek James fell off fast, says Jay. Well, yeah, that's another dude. He was on top of the world in 2022, man. Jamal Charlo, unifying becoming the junior middleweight champion. Errol Spence on top of the world at welterweight. Frank Martin undefeated. And then all of a sudden, boom, 2023, it all came crashing down. Sid Boxing says, Whitaker is perfect fit for Eddie. They're both cocksuckers. What the fuck? Joshua Cotto says, I remember when Duarte told Hitchens to shut up. Yeah, shut the fuck up, pussy. I have to put that on the soundboard. Joshua says Hitchens docked both Matias and Duarte. Lance Meyer says he likes Versace. Alejandro Solis says Teofimo Lopez is the new Broner boxing's clown. Yeah, he really did become that for a while there. Skull Kid says it would be funnier if the Robo 3000 beats Shakira Stevenson too. I mean, would it even be fair to have machines where, I mean, they have unlimited stamina, right? Depending on the battery. Or near unlimited. Green Reaper says Buddy McGirt was working with Dylan White and Callum Smith, wasn't he? Yes, I believe he was, now that you mention it. Little Jazz Live says, could you guys do an open line Discord police? Yeah, I mean, we try to do those. We just haven't been doing any recently. Recently, because, I mean, we got a lot of things going on with the World Cup. I'm sorry. Grim Reaper says, on Hinge, Tank is funny. He needs to KO some of these guys to get his rep back up. He absolutely needs to do that. And let's get to the whole Tank Davis, Devin Haney, shenanigan, hijinks occurring on Twitter, that whole sordid tale, because it all started with Bill Haney, the always talkative Bill Haney. He went on an interview recently, and he was bringing up Jay Prince, of all people. So he was talking about Devin Haney again. They were talking about a Shakur Stevenson fight, right? Not that long ago, and I didn't really want to talk about it too much because I knew nothing was going to come out of that. They were just bickering and barking at each other on Twitter. So then Jay Prince comes along, and he's the manager. Shakur Stevenson, and of course Abdullah Mason, who's going to be fighting this Saturday, and he also manages Keyshawn Davis. Now James Prince has a lot of criminal allegations surrounding him, like Kinahan, but for some reason a lot of the boxing media doesn't really address that when it comes to Jay Prince. Nevertheless, James Prince was doing an interview with Fight Hype, and he says, "I feel like we're in a great position. That question might have to be asked to the Haneys. I got a double-barrel shotgun. You know what I mean?" Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about when you're talking about firearms, and I don't know if that's what he's trying to get at. On both ends, he says, and I got them blocked in, so they got to see me one way or the other. So some people were saying that what he means by that is that Haney has a WBO welterweight strap, and his mandatory is Keyshawn Davis, who, again, Prince manages. He manages Keyshawn Davis. And on top of that, he manages Shakur Stevenson. So in other words, I think what he's trying to say that by the double-barrel shotgun thing, he's saying that Haney either has to fight his guy Hitchens or his guy Stevenson. Either way, Prince feels he's good because he ends up winning because one of his fighters is going to get Haney. But that the whole double-barrel shotgun thing, really makes you think. What is he talking about? Then he says, "I'm looking forward to dealing with all of them in the future. Devin has a great manager in his father. Bill is my homie," he says. Whoa. "Whatever decision they make has to be respected." Well, he says Bill is my homie. Now, remember, Bill is a convicted drug dealer. And he's very good. He's very wily and sneaky, I should say. He's very what's the word I'm looking for here? Weaselly, Bill Haney. He knows how to play the game. He knows how to play people. Most of the time, most of the people that have him on their show are people that are easily manipulated, or they're people that are disingenuous. And because I could understand that if you're ignorant and you get manipulated by Bill Haney, hey, that happens. There's just some people are just smarter than you, bigger than you, taller than you. That it just happens. Some people are physically superior, some people are mentally superior. So that's what happens. But if you're having Bill Haney on and you know he's BSing and you don't call him out on his BS, then you're being disingenuous, then you're not being truthful, and you're lacking integrity. So that's why I'm always hesitant. I'm always suspicious of people that have Bill Haney on their platform quite often, and they don't clap back some of the BS he throws, because again, he's very good at manipulating certain people. And I don't even know why you would have him on the show, by the way, because he has nothing really to say other than, we're in the driver's seat, and you'll see what happens. A lot of things coming down the line, and then nothing happens. Wow, that's entertaining. But anyway, so Jay Prince, who allegedly has had criminal dealings and criminal contacts, saying that Bill, a convicted drug dealer, is his homie. I'm saying, hey, birds of a feather, right? Then the article continues. Prince's remarks came after a conversation shifted to Shakur Stevenson, potential Haney versus Shakur Stevenson fight. James Prince continued by saying, and I quote, "I mean, it ain't really much to clarify. This is a game where a lot of stuff is talked about, so you can expect a lot of that to be thrown and said. It don't really affect us because we understand what we're dealing with." I mean, people should understand who they're dealing with when they're dealing with James Prince. That's all I'll say. This comes on the heels of Bill's comments saying that Tank versus Haney would be the biggest and best fight that anyone in the culture. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Bill Haney said that Tank Davis would be the best fight everyone in culture, sports, and entertainment would love to see. Interesting that he didn't talk about boxing fans. He talked about culture, sports, and entertainment. I wonder which culture he's talking about, because as we're going to see later on, it seems like a certain demographic is more happy and content to talk about fights that aren't going to happen and about the bickering itself rather than the actual fights and taking guys to task about the fights aren't happening. So let's get into that. The whole. I just want to document for you guys some, because again, we don't have. If I went through all the comments that I saw on Twitter, we wouldn't get out of here. We would be here all day. So Tank Davis and Devin Haney started going at it yesterday on Twitter because allegedly Tank Davis and Al Heyman sent the Haneys an offer. And the offer was the following: 70-30 for Tank. Devin Haney, and I think he deleted this tweet, by the way. Devin Haney replied and tweeted out yesterday, Gervonta just had Al, I think they're referring to Al Heyman, call with a 70-30 offer and a bunch of laughing emojis. Anytime I see this many laughing emojis, doesn't really instill a lot of confidence in me, in what the person is saying. Usually, people who put this many emojis are highly emotional people. They're teenagers, drunk, or all of the above. So that's what happened there. Then, Devin allegedly thanked Davis, you see, with that Clarissa Shields photo, said, and yet you still haven't made more money than me. But look, I just got off the phone with Al. Holla back fast, or I'm going somewhere else. I'm going somewhere else. That's what he said. I'm going somewhere else. Time is ticking. Whoa. So again, there are a lot of curse words in that tweet there. A lot of salty language and improper language that I would never use. And then Devin Haney replied, I tell you this, July the 3rd, 2026, I got more money than you. Ain't what you make, it's what you keep. I don't need you. You ain't the you once was. You fucked up your name in the sport and in business. You know what? Since you talking like that, I'ma move past you. Go figure it out. I don't want to do no business with you, clown. So there you go. So Tank brought up the money. Then Devin, and that's the sore spot for a lot of these guys. It's the money. I got more money than you. That really makes them angry for some reason. I don't know why. Like for them, I guess their financial worth is their real worth as a person. So Devin Haney getting angry and then saying, all right, since you want to take it there, I'm going to tell you that I got more money than you. And at the end of the day, I don't need you because you're not the same person you were before. So now I'm moving past you. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. So why did you want, if that is true, if you feel like that Tank Davis isn't really what he used to be, why did you want to fight him in the first place then? And again, that just goes to show you the nature of the Haneys. They will only fight guys once they know that they have a chance to beat him or that they have the overwhelming chance of beating him. Like they did with Lomachenko. They claimed they wanted to fight him in 2020, late 2019 and 2020. But that was a very smart thing they did. Very surreptitious, but smart. Because it worked with a lot of people out there who didn't really understand what was going on. A lot of people that don't question things. It worked with them. It made it seem as if, the Haneys want all the smoke, as they like to say. They wanted to fight Lomachenko. My goodness, and Lomachenko ducked. First of all, how is it a duck if you're fighting someone that's more dangerous than Haney? Lomachenko fought Teofimo Lopez because he was higher ranked than Haney. And he'd come off the Richard Comey bout. What would have been the point of Lomachenko fighting a 21-year-old inexperienced green Devin Haney? I mean, look at it. Lomachenko already gets discredited a lot. A lot of his wins get discredited. Nicholas Walters, he wasn't ever all that. Rigonda, he wasn't ever all that. Jason Sosa, Jason who? Ha ha ha. You know, they think by asking who, that's somehow an argument. So if all those wins get discredited, do you really think that if Lomachenko would have beaten Haney, and he would have beaten him easily, because he beat him in 2023, and that was an older version of Lomachenko and a better version of Haney, and Lomachenko still beat him in the ring, just not with the scorecards, on the scorecards. What do you think would have happened? So the Haneys are very calculated in whom they fight. You really think they wanted to fight Lomachenko in 2020, in 2019? If you really do believe that, like they say, I got a bridge to sell you, make that 3 bridges. Then they fought Prograis only when Prograis looked like crap against Zorrilla, and they cherry-picked Ryan Garcia. And when people say cherry-pick, when I say cherry-pick, what do I mean by that? Well, my evidence is the fact that the Haneys constantly derided Ryan Garcia. He's an Instagram model. He hasn't improved since the amateurs. We're gonna, Bill Haney even said no mercy, intimating that they felt like they were gonna be able to beat up Ryan Garcia if they felt like it. Instead, Devin Haney's the one who got hurt multiple times, got dropped 3 times, and ended up shitting his pants. Now, the Brian Norman Jr. fight, some people say, well, what about that? You got to give him credit. I give him some credit. But before the fight, I picked Devin Haney to win. And I questioned Brian Norman's ability to deal with Devin Haney's clutch and grab tactics. And I was telling people, I don't understand why people are giving Haney so much credit for taking on Norman. I don't understand why Norman is a favorite going into this fight. He's not. The last time he fought somebody who resembled Devin Haney's style, it was Quinton Randall, and he looked horrible in it. And sure enough, that's what happened. So the Haneys are only looking for calculated risks. That's why you haven't, and they want it for an exaggerated amount of money, a ridiculous amount of money compared to what they're actually worth. They're not really worth that much, the Haneys. They're not attractions. But they want to get compensated as if they were for calculated risk, which makes no sense. That's why you haven't seen him fight since November. That's why you see that Haney's haggling on Twitter as opposed to actually fighting in the ring. So there you go. So for Haney to say all of a sudden, oh, now Tank Euro has been, I don't want to fight you, that indicates why they wanted to fight him in the first place. Because now that they've seen Tank Davis struggle against Isaac Cruz and against Lamont Roach, and even in fights in which Tank has won, such as the Hector Garcia fight or even the Ryan Garcia fight, there's been spots, he lost rounds in those fights, and he looked bad in a lot of those rounds. Very bad. So now the Haney's have enough data on Tank Davis, and they know that he's slowed down. They know that by fighting relative nobodies, he hasn't even improved. In fact, he's been regressing. They know he's inactive. They know mentally he's not all there. They know he's rusty. Of course, now they want to fight him. He let it out of the bag, Devin Haney, by saying, oh, well, now we're moving past you because Zero has been. Then why did you want to fight him in the first place? It makes no sense until you realize that's why they want Tank Davis, because it's a big money fight against a guy who's limited and who has been regressing in the last couple of years and who's highly rusty. Then this tweet came out. So after Devin Haney said, oh, hey, I don't want to fight you, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. I'm losing the order of these tweets. Okay, so then Bill Haney had to jump in. Bill Haney, always fighting his son's battles for him. He said, we already turned down a 50-50 of nothing with the PBC. 70-30 of nothing is even worse. So they're saying that 70-30 in favor of Tank is ridiculous. DHP, that's Devin Haney Promotions for anybody that's unaware, DHP guarantees Tank 55-45 with a $15 million guaranteed purse for both fighters. Match it or stay off my jack. And then somebody replied with the same thing most of us thought when we read that statement. You just said it was nothing to negotiate. He's not fighting this year. Then you tweeted, say 70-30 offer ain't shit. Y'all are ducking that 5 foot 4 inch boy. Doc Devin fought on Garcia undercard, but now he wants 55-45. Tank is the biggest fight you have on the table. Nobody is bidding on that Keyshawn fight. And then Bill Haney's like, 2027? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that what? Is this going to happen in 2027? So anyway, turn down the 50-50 nothing with the PBC, because it's true, the PBC, they don't really, it's like when they did with Canelo, like, oh, we're offering him $100 million for the Benavidez fight. Like, where did they get $100 million from? Think about it, the PBC had $100 million for that fight. How come they never spend that $100 million anywhere else afterwards? I mean, 2024 and 2025, they only had about 9 fights total in those 9 years. That's about 4 or 5 cards per year. Most of them on pay-per-view. If they had $100 million, they'd be having more fights, more often, more events, and they wouldn't be having to put these fights on pay-per-view. So that's how you know the PBC doesn't have it. But just as the PBC doesn't have that money, neither does DHP, Devin Haney Promotions. Where do they get $15 million from? So, hold on a second. That's number 4. Okay, I don't see number 4 here. I don't know what happened here. Number 3, number 5. Okay, so I'm missing a tweet here for some reason. But anyway, people were... Oh, and then on top of that, there was a deleted tweet. Somebody said, Devin deleting his post is hilarious. And I think they're referring to post number 2 here, which is the one I talked about when they said... when he said he was moving on. Because that's the one that Tank Davis fans are now clutching onto. Now they're saying, oh, you see, Devin Haney's the one that's sucking Tank Davis for no good reason. Then this is the last one. Somebody says, so Bill, y'all got $30 million from Devin Haney Promotions for Tank versus Dev. So why couldn't you fund the unification with Rolly Romero? You just said there were no negotiations to be had because Tank ain't fighting till 27. But now you're saying this. So, I mean, the onus, the most important part is that they got $15 million for each fighter. That's $30 million in total. What do they have? So DHP is that powerful. They got $30 million to make this fight. No, what they're essentially saying is, hey, look, if we get Turki Al-Sheikh, or if we get Al Heyman, and maybe Eddie Hearn to negotiate the deal for us, whatever, and the zone, they'll come up with $30 million. DHP doesn't have $30 million. I don't understand. But there's people that actually believe it. By the way, what happened with that $1 billion deal for Devin Haney? Remember that? No, it wasn't $1 billion. Excuse me. I'm getting it confused with another fake claim from years ago. Didn't they say the Zone or Zuffa was going to sign Devin Haney for $300 million or something extravagant like that? Some exorbitant number? What happened with that deal? Now that they're haggling with Tank Davis for $30 million on Twitter. 30 mil that they don't have probably. So yeah, so so there you go. That's what's going on Twitter there. They're fighting like a bunch of divas. And people are pointing out the hypocrisy, too, of the Haneys, because they were the ones that offered Shakur Stevenson 75-25 years ago. And then when Shakur Stevenson didn't take it, people accused Shakur Stevenson of being a duck. But now 70-30 in Tank's favor, all of a sudden, oh, that's too little. That's an insult for the Haneys. The reality, though, here is this. I just wanted to document this back and forth to you guys to show you how stupid this is. And why I put a moratorium on anything involving Tank Davis, because Tank Davis, too, he doesn't walk away from this interaction unscathed. When is he going to fight? And then his fans go, well, he doesn't want to fight. Leave him alone. Okay, leave him alone. Then why is he on Twitter negotiating fights? I thought he didn't want to fight. Now all of a sudden he's back and he wants to fight. By the way, these are the same people that will often criticize Virgil Ortiz for not fighting any champions. But then when Tank Davis doesn't fight anybody of note, they go, well, he doesn't care about titles. He cares about the bag. Okay, so is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? Because it's a bad thing with supposedly with Virgil Ortiz, right? Even though he's fighting top opposition, they just don't happen to have any paper straps around their waist. So which one is it? Is it bad? Is it good? I mean, let us know. Let's set the standards right now, because that's all what I'm all about. I know my standards. I want to know what these people's standards are. And then again, Tank Davis hasn't really fought anybody of note. Think about that with the Haneys. I already broke down the Haneys calculated matchmaking route. Because some people could say, well, he fought Lomachenko. Yeah, only when they thought Lomachenko and Prograis were right for the taking. And that Lomachenko fight, he didn't win it. So Devin Haney hasn't fought Tank Davis. He hasn't fought Shakur Stevenson. He hasn't fought Teofimo Lopez, Richardson Hitchens, Keyshawn Davis. He hasn't fought any of those guys. Devin Haney hasn't fought any of those guys. Tank Davis hasn't fought Devin Haney, hasn't fought Stevenson, he hasn't fought Hitchens, he hasn't fought Keyshawn Davis, not even a Camarón Cepeda. Think about that. Ryan Garcia, he fought people. Teofimo Lopez, he's fought people. Shakur Stevenson, he fought Oscar Valdez, he fought Camarón Cepeda, and he fought Teofimo Lopez. Now, some people can say, well, okay, but the Teofimo Lopez fight, he knew he was going to win. Okay, whatever. I mean, Teofimo Lopez was the 140-pound champion. We knew Teofimo Lopez couldn't fight a guy, a counterpuncher. He's not good at taking the lead, but is that Shakur Stevenson's fault? Teofimo Lopez was the champion and Shakur Stevenson fought him. Tank Davis is the worst of them all because he hasn't fought any of these dudes. And when when he did have to challenge himself against Ryan Garcia, he demanded a bunch of dehydration clause, catch weight. Devin Haney and Tank Davis are leading the pack when it comes to horrible matchmaking and not giving the fans what they want. And again, that Brian Norman win really did buy the Haneys a lot of slack with the boxing world, but it didn't buy any with me because it was a calculated risk right there. Actually, it bought a little bit because, I mean, again, Norman was a puncher. But it was, like I said, calculated risk. The Haneys knew they could tie this guy up, jab him, clinch, just essentially cheat to win. That's why when people say, oh, Ryan Garcia cheated against Devin Haney, hey, if you're okay with the clinching, you should be okay with any other type of cheating, whether it's elbowing, low blows, headbutts, dipping below the waist, and yes, cheating with PEDs. Because some people, when it comes to clinching, people say, well, it's part of boxing. Clinching is part of boxing. Well, so are PEDs nowadays. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Now, what I was going to say is, though, this is the type of drama that encapsulates fighters like Tank Davis and Devin Haney. To a certain extent, Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis and all these guys too, because they talk a lot. But at least we see some of these guys fight, and at least Keyshawn Davis is not a back foot bitch, and so on and so forth. But most of these dudes of this new generation, that's what they do. They love to bicker and bark and talk on Twitter, and they don't actually fight each other. Think about this. When Ryan Garcia was offered a dehydration and a catch weight, De La Hoya told him, don't take it. But he took it. He made it happen. Canelo and Crawford, they made it happen. No dehydration clause, no catch weight, whatever. They made it happen. Lomachenko, all of his fights happened. There were no. When did you hear Lomachenko talking about, hey, the money's not right. I don't like the ring size. I don't like the gloves. I gotta wear winner and he winning gloves. He's gotta wear winning gloves too. Blah blah blah. No, special clauses. When did you hear the Lomachenko? Never. Ino and Nakatani, they made it happen. Zayas and Ennis, they made it happen. Alexander Usyk, it took 20-something fights, and it took him encountering Tyson Fury, one of the most unhinged personalities out there. One of the guys who's constantly retiring one day and then fighting a couple of months later. I think he's been retired 4 or 5 times now. He's announced his retirement a dozen times now at this point. It wasn't until Usyk met Fury that he finally encountered, that we finally saw something involving Usyk where it was a drama outside the ring with the negotiations. And that was Fury's fault, not Usyk's. So again, I'm giving you all these fighters who are drama-free when it comes to negotiations. But all of a sudden, with Tank Davis and Devin Haney, all of a sudden, it's that the money's not right, the size of the ring isn't right, the height, the reach, dehydration. It's fucking stupid. That's why when people go, why do people dislike these fighters? Exhibit A right here. In this type of, this situation which encapsulates the lack of balls. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, the lack of balls, the lack of courage that some of these fighters have. That's why when people say, how dare you criticize fighters that modern-day gladiators, they step through the ropes. They're not stepping through the ropes right now. They're stepping through the ropes of the Twitter arena. Oh, yeah, that takes a lot of courage. I'm telling you, following this whole thing was a pain in the ass for me. So you guys better thank me. I better see a super chat, by the way, or at least a couple of likes in the chat that I actually had to compile these tweets and follow this story for as long as I did, because it was boring. I'd rather read critical theory essays. That's even more fun. And the reason why I bring up critical theory is because Jean-Jacques Richelieu, one of our French liaisons, he's a sociology student over at l'École Supérieure Normale over there in France. And remember, he's the one that wrote an essay breaking down the whole Zuffa TKO attempted takeover of boxing. And he was talking about the corporate phallus taking over. That's what Zuffa TKO represents via Dana White's bald head. He says it's the corporate phallus trying to penetrate the sport of boxing. So he wrote a pretty good essay about that. And he wrote another essay here, short essay, as he was in between seminars. And shout out to Jean-Jacques Richelieu. And yes, this is much more entertaining than actually following Tank Davis and Devin Haney making up stuff on Twitter going at it. Jean-Jacques Richelieu had this to say. He said, in the public war of words between Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis, stemming from a proposed financial split, what presents itself as a commercial negotiation reveals, under the battalion gaze, its deeper ontological truth. It is an erotic ritual, a choreography of transgression, penetration, and the agonistic refusal of submission. Okay, so he's using Georges Bataille as a framework for his analysis of this sordid tale. He says, for Bataille, eroticism is never reducible to the merely genital. It is the sovereign transgression of the taboo that secures the discontinuous, bounded self, opening the subject to a terrifying continuity with the other and with death. Now, what he's talking about with the other is he's talking about minorities, which, of course, boxing is populated by minorities. Boxing, that ritualized theater of corporeal violation, already functions as a sublimated erotic encounter. The purse dispute, however, enacts this erotic drama in the suspended interval before physical contact, where the violence is purely symbolic, but no less penetrating. The offered 70-30 split operates as a phallic imposition, an attempt by Davis's camp to assign Haney the subordinate, penetrated position with the economic sexual hierarchy of the field. This occurs over the rumors circulating within the public sphere, suggesting that Devin Haney, loosely associated with music mogul and sexual assault impresario P. Diddy, was used up and stretched out in exchange for riches. This became known as Diddification, a financial transaction in which the other, in this case the minority Afro-Anglo Devin Haney, delivers his body for goods, just as his ancestors did to the white phallus. It is within this framework that Haney is seen as the subordinate party during negotiations. In Bataille's framework, the taboo against bodily violation is a foundation of human discontinuity. Transgression of that taboo. He says transgression of that taboo, whether through erotic intimacy or through the sanctioned violence of the ring, produces a shattering of the discrete ego. The purse percentage in this reading is the metric of penetrative depth. Penetrative depth, yeah, that makes sense. Davis' 70% claims for him the active inseminating role, while Haney's 30% would condemn him to the passive receptive posture, a symbolic feminization that the pugilistic habitus cannot tolerate without mortal shame. Haney's response, "I'ma move past you," indicates Haney's resistance via his own attempt at moving inside Tank Davis. Well, I gotta tell you, it makes a whole lot of sense because, again, in Jean-Jacques Richelieu's previous essay, which I think he was using Michel Foucault as a background and the backdrop to that, he was claiming that this whole boxing thing is just a homoerotic spectacle, and that a lot of people watch boxing, particularly the people who are in love with the clinching, the people who excuse the clinching and justify it. It's because they want to watch two homos go at it. They want to see two men rubbing up against each other, and that's why whenever somebody like me calls out the clinching, it's like, hey man, that's stupid. That's cheating. It shouldn't be allowed. These people feel attacked because it's the only way that they can actually get their rocks off, watching two men clinching and hugging each other. And so therefore, anybody that's calling that out, these people subconsciously, for them, is somebody's calling out their sexuality. And that's why they get angry, and that's why they come up with nonsensical arguments such as, well, clinching has always been part of boxing, or, well, it's not, clinching is only illegal when you hold on to your opponent and you don't break when the referee says so, which, by the way, show me where it says that in the rule book. Nah. And that's why, like Jean-Jacques Richelieu said in a previous essay, a lot of these people often talk about the sweet science. They're telling you they're sweet. They're telling you they like sweetness in boxing. They like a lot of hugging, a lot of face on crotch, and that type of stuff. And let me tell you something, I don't go for that type of stuff. I want to see clean, pure, pugilistic activity. Wholesome family fun. None of that stuff that goes on. Look, if you're into that, there's nothing wrong with being into that. Just don't bring it into the sport. We're watching guys trying to box each other, not, box each other's rocks off, if you get what I mean. So that was Jacques Richelieu there with that interesting essay there. In other words, he's saying that there's a lot of sexual sublimation going on in here. And I'll read more of it later on, or maybe in another episode. But that's what we've got so far. Let me read a couple of comments here from the chat. Little G's. See that all this homoerotic stuff has got me thinking dirty now. Little Jazz Live says, BDA, could you please touch on how Wild Southpaw was talking the other day after the Zayas Boots post-fight calling? It was insane. I couldn't stop laughing. He kept saying Bucho was in California. Well, listen, I mean, he was on something. That's what I maintain. He was on something. He was on, because usually he interrupts a lot. He acts very feminine. He interrupts a lot. But this time it was beyond that. It sounded like he kept saying, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? Like, he was really combative, and that only happens when you're drunk and or high. And I think that's what he was on. So, I don't know. I mean, I get, he's got kids, by the way. He's got kids. I don't understand what type of example he wants to set on their kids. You get drunk and high jumping on a stream. That's not a good look. Bray says, when Prince mentioned a double-barrel shotgun, I thought he was talking about Haney's nose. Oh, geez Louise. Iceman says, I think that double-barrel shotgun is saying Jay Prince tries something he gonna get deal with. Ah, okay, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Grim Reaper says, so Stevenson is ducking Haney and Haney is ducking Tank. The Turk says, I don't believe Haney given that he has to spend so much money on tampons. Oh, come on. Bray says, Haney kept calling Garcia a C-level fighter. Yeah, that's what was that all about? Sid Boxer says, yeah, we are run by lefty scumbags and the white boys is the N-word now. Little Jazz Live for the second time says, could you check my previous comment? Okay, so you really wanted me to address. I think this might be Southpaw Lefty, by the way, because I think he likes the attention. So I don't know why he's so adamant about me addressing that. I mean, listen, we've had plenty of drunk people and high people and crazy people on the show. It's no different. It's good for entertainment sometimes, but it's still weird though. It's still weird. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. Bray says, Tank is way too small for Haney. What weight would they fight at? Tank will want a rehydration clause. Yeah, that's the other thing, man. I mean, it's rehydration clause, dehydration clause, catch weights. That's the name of the game now. People allowing clinching, people justifying clinching and cheating. I mean, it's all over the place. Severino says, fuck these guys. They all duck each other. Go back and forth on Twitter all day, but when they see each other in person, it's all pictures. Vernon Holiday says, PBC has the money and open up the lines too. I don't know. I don't think they have money. Bray says, Loma, where is that money that they have, though? That's why they're holding every other fight on PBC? I mean, on pay-per-view? Even when they shouldn't be pay-per-view? And how many pay-per-views, how many views are they getting? How many purchases are they receiving with those pay-per-views? Bray says, Loma fought all those giants at 135 and never played any weight class games. Yeah, I mean, he was built differently. Shout out to Food TV, the real Food TV. He says, technically, whites are the global minority. The Turk says, JFK sociology departments need austerity level budget cuts too. Morbid DC says, Amerindians are the true global minority. Iceman says, skip all the hugging and kissing BS. Food TV says, we don't want to see guys big, big each other's boxes. Brooklyn says, I'll send that offer. Why Heyman don't take it? I mean, what else do they have going? Then again, if Haney did fight Tank Davis, he would have to drop the belt. But then again, I don't think that's much of wouldn't make much of a difference because he should drop the belt. What's that belt worth anyhow, compared to a Tank Davis fight? I mean, at least if you're talking from a financial perspective. But yeah, man. I mean, these people, man. I mean, it's really ridiculous. All the clinching and it really does. The way they fight inside the ring, guys like Haney and Tank, is the way they act outside the ring. By the way, don't forget, Tank Davis likes to clinch a lot too. He's not escaping unscathed either. He likes that clinching, man. Let me tell you. Look at his fights against Isaac Cruz and against Lamont Roach, and against when he got hurt, stunned rather, against Ryan Garcia. He was clinching a lot too. Real quick. Floyd Mayweather, as you recall, there was an alleged audio of supposedly Al Heyman and Leonard Ellerbe talking about Mayweather, how he was being ungrateful and how they were going to put him to the ground. Obviously, Mayweather took news of his financial difficulties. Well, there was this clip here of Mayweather addressing, well, check this out. Check out what he had to say.
There's somebody that I'm involved with that's on my team. Who I thought was a friend, who I thought was a business partner, but happened to be a con artist and a scammer. And in four things, if you these four things, I want you to get the fuck away from me.
Oh.
If you are a liar, a thief, a rat, and a snake, then I definitely got to disconnect myself from you. So that's what's going on right now. Disconnecting myself from certain individuals, and it's just like this. A lot of times when you want to disconnect yourself from certain individuals, they give you a hard time. Just like a scorned woman, a scorned wife, if you gave her a good life and you treated her good for 20, 30 years, and then say she went out on a date with a guy, or she could have went and cheated on you. Right. And you said, okay, I treated you exclusive, but you acting like you start acting like a regular, you start doing regular shit that regular chicks do. Right. So
some people are saying he's talking about Leonard Ellerbe. He's talking about somebody who was in business. Could have been also that Hebrew guy, Jewish guy, that he apparently was some sort of a manager or financial advisor, and allegedly the guy took a lot of money off of Mayweather. Then Mayweather suing Al Heyman too for money withheld or not paid, whatever. So I don't know what's going on with Mayweather there. Now, in that same podcast that was recorded there, I think it was with some ex-rapper, Mayweather said that he's okay financially, he's not at... But then he says, like, you ain't see me begging, you're not seeing me at the soup line. And I'm thinking, well, that doesn't mean you're not in financial difficulty. I mean, nobody accused you of being in poverty, but people are bringing up the receipts, like that Financial Times article stating all the back money he owes and the back money he owed the IRS and so on and so forth. So, yeah, evidently, somebody pointed out that Mayweather clip where he was saying about how, I'm doing good, I'm okay now. That was before all of this happened. That was way before the alleged Heyman audio came out. And so who's he referring to in that clip when he's talking about, I used to be in business with somebody who turned to be a backstabber? And if Mayweather, again, nobody, I don't think anyone's ever accused him of being in poverty, but again, he has been suffering from financial straits. And if that wasn't the case, and if he's okay and he's got so much money, how come he's getting into trouble and financial disputes over unpaid jets and unpaid jewelry, and suing Al Heyman and being sued himself? I mean, doesn't sound like a guy who's doing okay. If that was the case, he would just pay off all that stuff already. But he's not. So, I mean, who knows what's going on there with Floyd Mayweather. I tell you what I'm going to do, though. I've been talking a lot. How long have we been on for here in this morning show? Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. Been on for 2 hours. Jeez Louise, that long? I'm just wasting time here a little bit before the Canada versus Morocco game at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So what I'm going to do is, as I often on these morning shows, I'm going to open up the StreamYard just in case somebody wants to jump on. Somebody was saying, "Hey, why don't you open up the Discord?" Maybe, maybe one morning I'll do that. But I like to open up StreamYard because I don't usually use it, and it allows new people to jump in, and you never know who's gonna jump in either. We get a lot of characters roaming around there, the YouTube streets, the YTBC. That's the YTBC. That's a YouTube boxing community. So I'm gonna put the StreamYard link in case anybody wants to jump on and talk about some of the stuff that I mentioned here in this podcast. Don't forget to hit that like I said. Hit the like. It really helps us out. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, it helps the gravy train rolling. Or it helps it roll, rather. Okay, here we go. Here's the link. Make sure to jump in. Give us your thoughts on everything and anything that's going on in boxing. I'm also particularly curious to hear your thoughts on also the fight today. It's a pretty good fight between Albert Bell and Abdul Mason. Interesting clash and mesh of styles. Team Tszyu, by the way, is fighting Errol Spence in a fight that a lot of us are anticipating because we're very curious to see how Errol Spence looks. And what type of fight is he going to present? Is he going to present any type of fight? And, you know, he survived that accident and came back against Danny Garcia after a year layoff and managed to beat Danny Garcia. So does he have any surprises up his sleeve left? Be that as it may, Team Tszyu is going to be fighting him, and he's very angry because apparently Errol Spence failed to show up at one of the press conferences or some sort of event that we're going to have, some sort of media event. And so now Team Tszyu is pissed. He says, "I want to inflict pain. I'm coming for every limb. That's it. Simple. Especially that retina." Oh, being very specific with his threats. Remember, Errol Spence suffered a retina injury in 2021, hence why the Pacquiao fight never materialized. Fenech's trainer, former and Hall of Famer boxer Jeff Fenech, didn't hold back either. He said, "Spence thinks he's fucked us mentally. It hasn't worked." So there you go. They're coming for blood, and if Errol Spence is shot, if he's finished, if he's rusty, he better watch out because, yeah, Team Tszyu can be knocked out. He has lost in the past. But you got to watch out for that dude, man, because he's more active, he's younger, he's an underrated puncher, underrated tactician. I mean, I'm very curious to see what happens. Very curious to see what happens. I mean, I think most of us are picking Team Tszyu, but you just never know what can happen. I mean, who expected Sebastian Fundora to beat Tszyu? I mean, I'm not saying it was a monumental upset, but Tszyu was on a roll. And then getting stopped by Murtazaliev, that was quite something. And then quitting against Fundora in the rematch, I'm telling you. So Team Tszyu is very good. He's got a lot of things going for him, but you just don't know what's going on with him. You just don't know what's going on with him or what's going to happen. So it's a very intriguing fight. And it's not pay-per-view, I think, unless I'm mistaken. Fellas, I'm putting the StreamYard link there. Don't forget to hit the like, and click the link. Jump in. If nobody jumps in within the next half hour, we will be calling it a day because I gotta get some breakfast. I got stuff to do too before the game. But by the way, there was another tweet here. There's okay. So Shakur Stevenson again. He's not as bad, but he's on the same boat as some of these dudes who don't want to fight each other and talking a lot but never actually fighting. Some people, Rayo Valenzuela just beat Edwin De Los Santos. He managed to knock out De Los Santos. He managed to do it clean, something Shakur Stevenson couldn't do against Edwin De Los Santos. So somebody said, "Hey, Rayo wants you." And Shakur Stevenson replied, "I'd rather fight Antoine Russell. That's a fighter who will bring out the best out of me." Well, see, now the problem with that is that Gary Antoine Russell doesn't want the fight. First of all, he's with the PBC. Shakur Stevenson, the rumor is, and it's been that way for weeks, although they've never fully confirmed it, that he's a Zuffa fighter now. So how would that work? I mean, it's possible. Maybe the PBC, they let Antoine Russell go or something. I don't know. But Antoine Russell has said that he doesn't want to fight Stevenson just yet. He wants to marinate the fight, which is stupid. I mean, the 140-pound champion of the world is giving you a shot at his belt. He wants to fight you, and you don't want to fight him? How dumb is that? What else is in the news here? Yeah, so Tony Yoka, former Olympic French gold medalist, was going to be fighting Murat Gassiev. Murat Gassiev has been elevated to some sort of a actual champion or something. Like he's a real champ for one of the heavyweight belts now that Usyk's vacated them. So he was going to fight Gassiev for that belt, but now it's off because Yoka has withdrawn from the bout due to a back injury. Well, guess what? Joe Joyce, who was going to fight on that card, will now step in and fight Murat Gassiev. That all of a sudden becomes a much more interesting fight because Tony Yoka, I mean, he fits into the French stereotype a little bit of being like a sort of like a spineless fight. And it's a stereotype. It's a stereotype, but it's a stereotype for a reason because we haven't seen that many French fighters as of yet. I mean, you had Marcel Cerdan way back in the day, but he was also of Algerian, Moroccan, I forget which one origin, so technically he was African. But he was a heck of a fighter, Hall of Famer. We don't see French fighters like that anymore. Be that as it may, Yoka is out and Joyce is in. And Joyce, even though he's past it at this point, he's up there in H2, he's still a better, he presents a much more different outlook or fight than Yoka. He's come forward guy, he still has a heck of a chin. Like I said, he'll be coming forward, he's got more experience. And Gassiev, I don't know, I mean, he knocked out, what's his name? The Bulgarian guy in his last bout. But, I mean, he knocked him out okay, but he wasn't really letting his hands go. That's always been Gassiev's problem. He doesn't let his hands go nearly enough. He's always looking for the perfect shot. And I'm thinking, man, you gotta let those hands go. You gotta let those hands go. You can't just stand there looking for the perfect shot. I know it's a heavyweight division, but even as far as heavyweights go, I don't think he's that big a puncher. So Pulev, yeah, thank you, Grim Reaper. That's it, Pulev. He knocked out Pulev. And it was a hell of a knockout, let me tell you. But yeah, so that's the fight we're getting there. July the 11th had been the original date. That means next Saturday. And it's not happening. Gassiev versus Yoka, but now we got Gassiev versus Joyce instead. Interesting fight. Also in the news when it comes to heavyweight here, heavyweight news, as we know, Fabio Wardley enacted and activated his rematch clause against Daniel Dubois in that battle they had a couple of weeks ago. Daniel Dubois battering Fabio Wardley, although Wardley got some licks in, but just not enough to be able to dissuade Dubois or back him off, and ended up getting stopped by Dubois. Well, they activated the rematch clause, but there's no news about when it actually will take place, and some cryptic comments here from Wardley's manager. No news on when the rematch will be, but we activated the rematch, Ofo told Boxing Scene. I've spoken to Fabio. Fabio's excited to be in such a fight again. He knows the mistakes that he made and he wants to get it back in blood. Well, what else is he going to get it back in? Again, I think it's down to when Fabio wants to take it, he said. He's resting at the moment. We have activated the rematch, so it will happen in due time, and I can guarantee that Fabio will be 100% when that fight does happen. But rematch clauses have different timelines in which they can happen according to negotiations? Because remember, Crawford and Spence had a rematch clause, right? And remember that Spence activated the rematch clause, which prevented Crawford from having any other fight or negotiating any other fight until that clause ended. And then it did end up ending. It expired. So I'm curious about when this one would expire, because for as long as the rematch clause is activated, I don't think Dubois can negotiate another fight. And why wouldn't they want to announce? And so they activate the rematch clause, but it'll happen when Fabio's ready. What does that mean? So why activate it when he wasn't ready? Or did they have to activate it after a certain time, otherwise it expired? You know what I mean? I mean, those are questions that I'm not qualified to answer here, because I don't know the details of this, but it would appear so. Reports actually suggested that there was a deadline in place, the article says, for when the rematch must take place. Yes, and it's in favor of Fabio, Ofo said, so there's no rush. I've heard people say it's going to happen within 3 months. It's not going to happen within 3 months. It happens when Fabio's ready. I mean, that sounds like a girl saving her virginity. No, it's going to happen when I'm ready. Well, what's going on here? You want to fight or you want to putz around? You want to be a tease? What's going on here, man? I'm telling you, some of these fighters nowadays, I don't know what's going on with them. Sticking with the heavyweight news, Filip Hrgovic, who's going to be taking on what's his name? Moses Aitama, or some people call him nowadays Mossad Aitama, because some people feel that he's being pushed by the establishment. But nevertheless, That's what some people are calling him. And Hrgovic is going to be facing Aitama later on in August, I believe. That's when the fight takes place. So Hrgovic is already looking forward to other fights after the Aitama one. He said that he wants a Dubois rematch. He feels that if he beats Aitama, he's in line for a Dubois rematch. He says, the fighting Daniel Dubois felt like sitting on a boat and throwing rocks into the sea. I just couldn't miss him. I hit him with so many punches, but I didn't feel good. I swear, he says, 1 week before the fight, I was in my bed. I even requested to change my flights for a few days later because I couldn't move. But I was told I had to fly because they were already booked. I was sick, he said, but I recovered a little during fight week. I was drinking like 10 medications every day just to get a little bit of energy. So that's one of the things that we reported on a couple of episodes ago about how Hrgovic claims he was sick in the build-up to the Dubois fight. And even then still managed to ring Dubois with a bunch of right hands, but just couldn't do anything to Dubois. And I guess Hrgovic now is saying that he couldn't keep up the intensity, he couldn't maintain that, and also couldn't really hurt Dubois because he was debilitated by illness. Again, he doesn't really tell you what illness it was. I guess it was a fever of some kind or something. I don't know, but that's what he claims. Then he says, it's in the contract that if I beat Moses, I'll challenge the WBO champion. Hrgovic says of his multi-fight deal with Queensberry Promotions. But now, he says, it's a big test in front of me, so I must take care of Aitama. Stylistically, it's a harder fight than Dubois because he's quicker and a southpaw. So there you go. So Hrgovic is already looking past Aitama a little bit. I mean, not so much, because then at the end he does reiterate, like, hey, listen, I gotta take care of business first, and it's a more difficult fight. Because of the southpaw and the speed and all that, but he still wants Dubois. We got Fu TV jumping in. That's the real Fu TV. Fu, what's up, man?
Oh, what's up?
Thank you for jumping.
What are you doing?
Well, just talking. I mean, I covered a lot of things here. I'm talking about Hrgovic, talking about how he wants Dubois after Aitama, and he claims
He wants him, huh?
and he claims that he's in line for a Dubois rematch if he beats Aitama. So what do you think about that Hrgovic-Aitama fight? And do you agree with the people calling Moses Aitama Mossad Aitama? How do you feel about all that?
Oh yeah, definitely. He looks like Mossad, doesn't he?
A little bit,
I think
yeah.
he's like the next. I think of him as the next Copernic, because he's kind of a Mossad guy as well, isn't he?
Oh, is Copernic? That's the football player, right? That was with the kneeling and all that?
Yeah, the football player. He wouldn't kneel, and he was raised by his small hat mother.
Oh,
It wasn't really his mother; he was adopted, but still, he's from that that crowd. He's like the Smollets. He's like Justin Smollett.
Yeah, that's another dude that came fabricated. But is what's his name? What? Copernic. Is he still around, or?
Oh, I don't know. He hasn't played football in years, but he's a great race baiter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of that stuff that's going on makes you wonder how it came about. But what do you think about Hrgovic versus Aitama? Do you think Mossad Aitama beats him, or do you think?
I think Hrgovic could definitely beat him, but I don't know what their dealings are behind the scenes. I don't really trust anything connected to that guy. All his fights to me look funky. All of them look weird, and so I feel like that'd be another jumping off point to whatever they want him to do next. I don't know, because sometimes it's like, are they trying to build this guy quickly, or are they accelerating it? I just don't know, because they'll have like a sort of okay fight, and then he'll fight like some nobody you never even heard of or saw once in your life who looks like he works at the gas station or something. No offense to people that work at the gas station.
Yeah, what does that mean?
But like a fat guy, like a Bomac kind of guy,
I've seen plenty of well-groomed people working gas station jobs. I mean, I don't know.
I mean like a Bomac type. He's at the gas station. He's eating all the cheap hot dogs. He's sitting behind the counter. You walk in, you're like, hey, can I pump 3? And he's like, and he like mumbles at you. That kind of guy.
They let him take away all the day-old hot dogs after the shift is over, right? They let him take them home.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I forgot to mention one last note here. Austin Amo Williams is going to be taking on Vito Melinicki. I think it's going to be a Pro Box card. That's an interesting fight right there, man. 30-year-old Williams sports a record of 20-2 with 13 knockouts. Of course, we last saw him losing to Adames, but giving him a relatively good fight. And Vito Melinicki has been on fire over at Pro Box, knocking people out. So that's an interesting fight right there. I just wanted to bring that one up. Make sure to watch out for that one when it happens. It's going to happen on somewhere in September the 4th at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Wow, look at that. So, hey, look at that, man. New Jersey is going to have the World Cup final. That's where they're going to host it. And they're going to have the Maliki versus Austin Imo Williams. I mean, come on. All the big events are happening in New Jersey, let me tell you.
What the hell?
I mean, what's going on? Hey, Fu, you should move to New Jersey instead of New York.
I used to live in New Jersey.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I moved after I moved out of Brooklyn.
Well, now you're missing all the action.
I lived in Jersey for a couple of years.
I feel
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, that's a great place to, I don't know, get robbed by a heroin addict.
I see. I wanted to say this.
Never happened to me. I'm just saying it's a possibility. When you go to some of the bigger areas, you find everyone nodding off. It's a good place. It's a nice place. It depends on where you go.
In New York, do they have what's going on in Philadelphia and all that? People leaning back because they're high and they're just standing up but leaning back and they're asleep leaning back. Does that happen in New Jersey too, or is that a Philly thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, in Jersey, you see that. You see that a lot. You see that a lot in upstate as well. I guess a big thing now, heroin.
Well, it's a trank.
A few weeks ago, we saw a girl slumped by the church. So like a damn zombie.
Well, what they're taking technically is a trank, which is a mix of tranquilizers and fentanyl. So that's what they got. So yeah. If you're in New Jersey, it's the new tourist destination, man. You can go see a boxing fight, and then at night you can go out and just watch the people leaning back and be entertained.
Get some trank,
or maybe get some trank too. Yeah, try it out. You never know. Hey, listen, never dispel anything without trying it. If maybe these people are obviously doing trank for a reason. It's not because it feels bad. Let me tell you.
It's funny that they really call it trank.
Yeah,
it's like the opposite of crank. It rhymes.
You know what?
Crank is like the complete extreme opposite.
Maybe some marketing genius came up with that. Trank, crank, spank.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Maybe, man.
Well, spank's totally different.
Well, listen, that's a different type of draw for Mr. BD. Let me tell you. Casamigos Kyle in the chat says NYC is a coke and ketamine town. What is ketamine anyway? What is that? Is that another stimulant? Or?
It's like something they use for animals, I think. I remember I had friends in what was it, junior high, and they would take ketamine, and they're like, "Hey man, I'm in a hole right now." I'm like, "What's wrong with you? You're a fucking idiot! Like, why are you doing cat tranquilizers or horse tranquilizers, something like that? Like, you're a moron." Yeah.
I mean,
that's the thing they would do.
Well, you're from New York. What's your favorite drug that you ever did? Ketamine, coke, flakka?
No, I don't really do drugs. At the most, I'll do is I'll have some beers. I like beer. I think beer's enough. That's good enough.
But you said I don't really do drugs, which means you have in a sense done drugs. So that's why I'm asking. Flakka, crack.
I smoked like a joint or whatever in the past, that kind of thing.
Come on, crystal meth. Like, come on, what's the?
No crystal meth. No crystal meth.
Have you heard of flakka, by the way?
Oh, I might have heard of it. What is it?
That's the one that makes people go nuts. It turns them.
Is that the one that makes you eat faces?
Yes. Well, actually, that was bath salts. I don't know if it's the same chemical composition, but
that was bath. What do you mean bath salts? It's like that's something you actually put in a bath.
Yeah, I think it was some sort of bath. It's something that they use for cleaning bathtubs or something. Some sort of bath industrial cleaner. And they would mix that with something else, and people would snuff that. The interesting thing is, drugs are supposed to take you out psychologically. Drugs are mostly used for. Recreational drugs are mostly used by people who want
escapism, right?
Escapism. So that's why I was thinking. Okay, they want to escape reality because it hurts too much. What's the point of taking drugs and turning them into a fucking crazy zombie? Like, that's what I understand.
They're going on a 28 days later fantasy.
That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like.
That like Total Recall. Remember, you're going to be a spy.
Oh yeah, and they inject
you're going to eat faces. You're going to be a zombie. You're going to get killed by a cop.
Yeah, man. But so that's what we get.
Sounds like a good one.
But hey, okay.
You blew my cover.
One of the oh yeah, when there's restraint, you blew my cover, and then they start snapping.
You blew my cover.
That gun, that tranquilizer gun there with the little,
yeah, they shot him like 8 times in the leg. He's like, oh.
See you at the
party. I quit that guy out.
See you at the
strong. That's why.
See you at the party, Richter. But
the body.
I wanted to ask you.
To your freedom.
Early in the episode, I was talking about De La Hoya complaining about, nobody wants to see Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia. And then he was talking about how, hey, listen, even if Conor Benn versus Garcia happens, it won't happen because I'm involved. But I mentioned how De La Hoya only has a co-promotional deal with Ryan Garcia. And even if it was a full-on promotional thing, how could he say no to a fight for Ryan Garcia? I mean, promoters are usually supposed to put on what's best for their fighter. Anyway, I'm giving you the rundown as quickly as I can. Then Turki Al-Ashik took a picture in which he met with Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, the guy that looks like the guy from Sexy Beast. I forget what his name is. I forget what his real name is in real life. But anyway, that dude, he's a promoter for Rockstar or something, boxing. He met with those guys, and he met with Nick Khan too. So there's some sort of like he's trying to reconcile all these promotional outfits with Zuffa TKO because apparently now they want to all work together, or he's trying to get them all to work together. And some people were saying, no, it can't happen because the lawyer has to allow Conor Ben, blah, blah. What do you think? Do you think Zuffa TKO on Netflix happens with Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben? Fu? Are we on the air? Can you guys hear us on the air here? Yeah, I don't know if Fu's there. I can't hear him. He dropped out. Hopefully he heard everything I said, because I don't want to have to repeat the whole question again. What are people in the chat saying? White Pink, okay, that's some heavy shit. Green Reaper says, weed or a bit of speed, the other stuff's not really good. Pancho Villa says, I stopped smoking PCP years ago. That trank is going to make you people even more stupid. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that's any good for anybody. All right, we got Fu TV back. Fu, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, sorry, I accidentally pressed the damn button and kicked myself off the panel.
You're not used to the streamer, are you?
It's just I don't think I can actually go to your YouTube page and stand here at the same time. If I leave the screen, it actually just boots me off.
Right.
Automatically, which is irritating.
Well, I wanted to get your thoughts on the whole Conor Ben, Ryan Garcia thing, because it looks like it might happen. Again, Ryan Garcia only
going to work together, right?
Right.
I think I heard you say that.
Ryan Garcia.
What's interesting is that a few weeks ago, I don't know if you noticed this, I actually brought it up in a show, that Turkey released a photograph of him and all the other promoters together. I don't know if you remember this. Right. And they look sort of like the mob. You remember that? It was like a black and white image with Turkey in the front, and somehow magically he was just as tall as Eddie Hearn. and I was like, I see what he's doing here, right? He's hinting at something. He wants them all to come together and get this stuff over with, because he doesn't want to have to be bickering with them. He just wants them to all own the industry. Mm-hmm. And they'll just create their own monopoly together. They'll take all the guys they currently have. But actually, I know what he's going to do. He's going to take in their guys, be able to use them, and as soon as, they're all washed up, they're finished with their careers. He's going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to work with you anymore, Oscar, or any other guys. That's probably what he'll do. But I see from that image that he wanted them to come together. So now that you're saying this, it makes perfect sense. That's what he wanted. Right. So that's cool.
I mean, again, if I'm De La Hoya, I know you got your problems with Dana White, Zuffa TKO, but hey, you're supposed to do what's best for your fighter. And he's got this fight aligned against Conor Ben, which would bring a lot of money. Who are you to put a stop to it? You know what I mean? So it seems
he just wants this cut,
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's why because DAZN hasn't. I think they sent a cease and desist letter, but we haven't heard much from them since. So it appears as if maybe they're gonna get compensated for that and let Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben fight on Netflix or Paramount, whichever platform it may be. And this also puts a bit of a damper on people like Benavidez, who was saying, "Oh, well, we're not going to fight Opetaya because he's over there with Zuffa." Well, if the Conor Ben
that's BS, because Zuffa has no issue with working with any promotion.
Right?
They work with all of them. That's just politics. The sanctioning bodies don't want him to work with them. I think that's what it is. Because they're pissed off because they want to get rid of them. Because Zuffa doesn't want to carry the sanctioning bodies. Any of their titles.
Nor should they. It's a waste of money.
Oh, it is.
Hey, by the way,
they don't push anything. They let guys just dance around. You got them trying to push Keyshawn to fight Devin Haney. Like, bro, that guy's a 140 guy. Mm-hmm. And he's done nothing at 140. Now he just leapfrogs over everybody that's been working at 147. Oh, you get the fight immediately. It's like, this is bullshit. Sorry.
It's true. No, I mean, listen, it's 9:47 a.m. I think now we can start cursing a little bit. We got Al Cuerpo Boxing too jumping out. Al Cuerpo, you there?
Yo, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Al Cuerpo. What's up, man?
All right, this 5G is nice. What's
Right
up,
here.
guys? Good morning. Good morning. It's working out right now.
Ah, good morning.
By the way, you
So
got
what's up? What's up, BDA? What's up, man?
you got a lot of bass on your mic. What type of microphone are you using?
Nah, this is AirPods Pro. AirPods Pro.
Oh, so that's just natural you. That's natural El Cuerpo boxing voice, man. That's good, man. You don't need no fucking compressor or anything.
Nah, yeah, you guys should get the AirPods Pro. Is nice.
Well, listen,
You almost said. Yeah.
the way it's sounding right now, El Cuerpo, yeah, I might get some. What are they called? The AirBuds, what?
AirPods Pro. But an
AirPods.
iPhone. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
I don't need that.
what was that
I
for?
got it right here.
No, you know what? I'm actually gonna get the AirPods right now. Hold on a second. Where are they?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't even know it though. I had some of these. Hold on.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had them. I didn't even know that, Cuerpo. I had the AirPods. Hold on. Let me put them on right now. Hold on.
All right, put them on.
Yo, can you guys hear me? Oh yeah, these AirPods are pretty good, man. Oh, goodness gracious.
I like that Pro.
All right. But hey, El Cuerpo.
Everybody take notes.
Absolutely. Al Cuerpo, what do you think about this shenanigans? You know, Golden Boy saying that he would try to put the kibosh on Conor Ben, Ryan Garcia. How do you think that's going to work out? Is Garcia just going to pay him his percentage and just say, get the hell out of the way?
I don't know, man. I've been talking about this for a long time. I don't think Ryan Garcia can even fight on a Zuffa boxing card, man, without Oscar's approval, no? And like you're saying, a percentage? Who knows, man? I've been telling everybody, man, Oscar does not like Dana White at all, man. So I don't see how they can share any profits, man.
Well, he said a few weeks ago, Oscar said he would work with them.
Yeah, but how many times is everybody in the game flip-flopping, man? Everybody says something, they change their mind, but when it comes to what's on paper and legal, you know the American head, they don't want to work with no Zuffa boxing.
I think if the money's right, he'll do it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so exactly. So what do you think Oscar wants out of that? And would Dana White agree? This is all ego wars, man.
But the lion's share, I think. I think he would want what he negotiates for, which would probably be more money than Conor Ben is making. Because Ryan's a bigger
who wants
star.
the lion's share? Who wants the lion's share? Oscar,
He would want, Oscar, his side. He would want the majority of the money, I would think. Because Ryan's a star. I don't think Conor really is.
Exactly, and that's why I don't see Dana White or Zuffa bending over for that fact. That's why. That's why I just don't think that fight's gonna happen, man. Unfortunately.
I believe it's going to happen. I think it is. I think it's a decent fight for them. I think they'll set it up. And I heard Oscar from his own mouth say he would work with them. And this is after all the beef and all the stuff that's been said over the last few months.
If when he says if they can, I mean, who's going to compromise though? You think Dana White and Zuffa, the guys with the money, they're not going to compromise for Oscar's side or the West. They're not going to compromise for that. They don't need to. Their egos are so big. They're the ones with the money. So the question is, who needs who? Who needs who? That's the question. You know, does Zuffa boxing really need Ryan Garcia, or does Ryan and Golden, do they really need Conor Ben? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I don't think it's that nuts because they've already worked with Ryan, and Oscar before that New York City card, right? When he fought Rolly, that was a Zuffa. That was a Turkey. It's all connected. It's all Turkey, Zuffa, all that. It's all the same thing.
Or we can go the other way. How about just unifications for Ryan right now? Who else got the belts that Ryan could fight? Haney. Let me see. He beat Barrios, obviously. Romero, right? Romero's tied up with Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, but then Haney signed a contract with Zuffa. Am I wrong?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's just ugly, man. Right now, the whole game is this ego wars again. It never stops, man. It never freaking stops. And I feel you. I know you're like pro Zuffa, me too, but I'm pro also West Side. Like, I don't know, guys. I don't think the fight's gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah, it is interesting because they'll always, some people were saying that and the fight's not gonna happen. The Ben Garcia fight is not gonna happen without De La Hoya say so. But I'm thinking, well, I'd really like to know the terms of the contract. It's not even a full-on promotional deal. It's a co-promotional deal between Conor Ben and Garcia and De La Hoya.
Would have to be, right? There's total two different promotions there. Well, Conor Ben is like a free agent, is he not? Or he was before he signed with Zuffa?
Yeah, no, he was, the contract ended with Hearn, and he didn't resign. He ended up, he didn't resign. He ended up going with Zuffa Tigeo. So for a while there, for a brief moment, he was a free agent.
Yeah, so there's not really anyone for him to negotiate with other than like Turkey and that company Zuffa. I don't see why he wouldn't do that, because it's not like Ryan's signing a contract with them. He's only having one fight, so he wouldn't be losing anything really. He'd probably be making more money for this than he would any other. I mean, he'd be maybe the Devin Haney might make some money, but I'm not sure if Haney has signed up with Zuffa already. From what I heard, that was what they were talking about, him signing a deal with them.
Right,
I don't know if it's already happened.
Yeah, they were saying that Shakur Stevenson and what's his name, Haney were signed with Zuffa, but then we just never heard anything about that again. It's again one thing we have heard a lot of. If I don't know if you guys were following this, but I mentioned this earlier. Oh man, Haney and Tank Davis were going at it yesterday on Twitter, talking about send the offer, and then they send the offer. Tank Davis sent an offer, and it was 70-30 in his favor. And Haney said, I don't need this crap. I got more money than you. And then he said, I'm going to move past you. I'm going to move on. And people were saying, there you go. He's ducking Tank. Now it's Tank that's ducking him, blah, blah, blah. And that's just like, what do you guys make of all that chicanery? The malarkey.
I'd say 40 would probably be better, right? For Haney.
For what?
30, 30's not the worst because he's not really a draw.
Exactly.
Devin Haney's not a draw. And Tank Davis is taking all the risk. He's the one who's coming off of, being all rusty. He hasn't been fighting in a while now. This guy is sort of active. I'd say 40 is a little more fair. I'd say give him 40.
Yeah,
40%.
maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right.
50, you could go 50-50 if you wanted, but he's at a big disadvantage. This guy's clearly bigger than him, right? He's bigger, he's heavier, he's longer, he's a runner. This guy's incredibly rusty. So there's all kinds of factors there, but I'd say 30. 30 probably might actually be that bad for a guy who doesn't even draw anybody in and who, has got every advantage over Tank Davis, except for maybe at the very most power, maybe.
Right.
Because, this guy's big now. He's fighting at 147. So, what's that supposed to look like?
But is Tank Davis really fighting? Is that guy really fighting, man? Is Tank Davis really coming back? I don't believe in any of that stuff, to be honest.
I just mean
using it.
If he's coming back, where is he going to fight?
Exactly.
Where would that fight take place?
Exactly. Or who's he going to fight? I don't see Tank fighting, man.
No, the Haney fight. Where would they do that? Because this guy's now at 147. So is Tank going up?
I doubt that.
Well, that was the question at hand. Apparently, there was no rehydration clause, or I forget exactly what the terms were. But the point is that is exactly what I'm saying, is the fact that they wanted, that Tank Davis has been highly inactive, the fact that there were no indications of when he was going to fight next, and the fact that the Haney started negotiating with him just shows you what type of people they are. They want to fight a shorter, inactive, older guy.
Yeah.
And they want more money for it. That's the type of entitled people that
and
they are.
You said they want a no rehydration clause or anything like that?
Apparently, Tank Davis, that was his offer. He was saying, I'm not going to take a risk. So then that's the question. Which weight, that you brought up a good point that I didn't take into consideration. Which weight class was this going to take place in? 140 or 135? Because I don't think Haney can make 140. There's no way he makes 135.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what weight is this taking place at? That's pretty important. And then if you say 147 and there's no rehydration clause, then Tank's at an even bigger disadvantage. He's fighting this, pretty big guy. Haney's for sure way bigger than Tank Davis. Tank Davis is a really small guy. Pitbull makes him look kind of small. So, he's little. He's like John Leguizamo, but smaller.
John Leguizamo, there you go.
Yeah, it reminds me of Spawn.
I think Tank Davis could do good at 147. That's not a problem. But what's the compromise though? It's knowing the Haney's, obviously they're A-side, right, in this? Am I thinking that correct? Haney's
they got a paper belt. They got a belt, so they would probably use that as a justification for being the A-side.
Yeah.
But to me, A-side has always meant, hey, who's the bigger star? And even though Tank Davis is overrated, his worth is overrated, he's still a bigger star than Devin Haney.
Yeah.
So that's where
I'll say this, though. Hey, man, speaking of Tank Davis, I think probably one of the most underrated fights, man, that's going to come up for me, style-wise, and what's good for everybody in boxing is going to be Roach versus Zepeda, right? So technically, on paper, my opinion, whether you guys want to count it or not, but for me, I thought Roach beat Tank. Right? If it wasn't for that knockdown, whatever, he still wins on points. Right? And then second, he did good against Isaac Cruz, right? Roach. It was a draw, right? If I remember correctly.
Yes.
And then Cepeda, he beat, let's see, he beat Tevin Farmer twice. I mean, in the rematch or what, twice. Then he failed short, but he got 4 or 3 rounds against Shakur Stevenson. I think this is gonna be a breath of fresh air about styles, man. Pressure fighting volume and who's the more or ring IQ, right? Who's got better ring IQ, Cepeda or Roach? I would say probably Roach, but that's all subjective. So for me, this style wise, I think if Cepeda were to win by stoppage, I think that's a big statement in boxing style wise. And if Roach wins by stoppage, that's also a great statement for Roach. So it's one of the most underrated fights I think upcoming for the next month. It's August 1st, no?
Absolutely, man. Hey, listen, yeah, that's a great point because we're talking about a fight that it's not probably never going to happen. Tank Davis versus any of these guys. Meanwhile, we've got, like you said, Cepeda versus Roach, and that is indeed a very interesting fight taking place on August the 1st via the
And
Zone.
it's for a belt. It's for the WBC, if I'm not mistaken. So this is great.
That's right.
They're going to come hungry, man. They're going to come really hungry. And I said, but like Boots, for me, I said Boots was going to stop Zayas. I said that before in many streams. I said he's going to stop him in 7 or 8 because he's going to come hungry for those belts. It's really good for Boots, man. So for me now, I think Cepeda is really, really hungry. And Roach too. Roach got to make a statement. So that's why this fight is going to be, I think it's going to be fire, man. I'm really excited for Roach and Cepeda.
Yeah, you know,
Let's go.
people don't give Cepeda enough credit for the Tevin Farmer wins because Farmer was doing a whole lot of clinching in that fight, in those fights, a whole lot of clinching. If the referee prevents the clinching, it becomes very difficult for somebody to keep Cepeda off of them. Shakur Stevenson was at his most entertaining because Cepeda made it so. And he could, Cepeda just stuck there and just kept going to. He hurt Shakur Stevenson twice. And he had him.
I think Farmer's more dangerous than Shakur. He's a better puncher.
Well, I mean, he did
Cepeda was never hurt by it for a single second versus Shakur. Not a second in that fight. He was, but doink, this guy dropped Cepeda, hurt him multiple times. That's what Farmer did in the 2 fights, right?
Right. And that's
even in the second fight he hurt him, but he hurt him. He dropped him in the first fight, and then he hurt him. That was kind of a war.
He also beat up Jojo Diaz. So what I'm saying is, in terms of in-ring performances, he's had some very good performance. The only time I remember seeing him look kind of subpar was against Alvarado, and that was years ago. And so I think he's improved now, especially against the way he showed it against Shakur Stevenson. Roach, on the other hand, he's had 2 draws in a row. Although some people could argue maybe that the decision should have gone his way. So I guess you could argue that he should be 2-0 in his last 2 fights against very good opponents. But that's the question is, when he fought Isaac Cruz is not really an inside fighter. He's a guy who likes to leap in with his hooks and then just keeps coming, but he doesn't really fight on the inside that well. Cepeda is a stick to your chest, just keep on going type of guy. So it's going to be a very interesting clash of styles, that's for sure.
I thought Cruz beat Roach, and I didn't think it was in any plan that guy won that fight or even got that draw. I think they set that up for him. He's okay, Roach. I think Zepeda's going to beat him. Yeah, he's not the biggest puncher. He's not a workhorse. I think Zepeda's just going to put a pace on him, just beat him up.
Well, remember, Tank and Cruz, man, those guys can crack. So that's why I also give Roach, I don't know, man, for me, it's 50-50. So that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. So imagine if Cepeda were to stop him. That's a big statement, man, in the game for Cepeda if he were to do that. Yeah. Or some fans might say, nah, Roach was already, worn torn from those previous fights, but I don't think we can say that.
I think it's going to be a war. I think that's going to happen. I think this guy's going to be on top of him.
Hells yeah. I want a war, man. So, and also, didn't he beat Jojo Diaz, Cepeda?
Yes.
I know he fought. Let me see. Duarte stopped Jojo Diaz. Cepeda fought. Who was that guy I just said right now? Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz beat Farmer. Jojo Diaz went 12 with Prograis. So, yeah, man, this style wise is very underrated. This fight. So, like the other guy said, Mr. Fu, it's gonna be a war for sure. Hells yeah, Hells yeah for WBC.
Yeah, Roach tries to box a little bit, but he's not that great at it.
He really isn't. He knows how to gauge distance. He's a total pro at this point in his career. He really improved since the Jermell Herring loss. But hearing loss, no. But he has improved, but I don't know if he's going to be able to handle the pressure that's Cepeda. I know it's going to be the first couple of rounds are going to let us know
the amount of punches this guy's going to be throwing. Because Cepeda, he goes into like a flow, and he's just boom, 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 boom. He's just punching like nonstop.
But
this guy isn't not like Shakur where he's going to throw a little tap and run. He's probably going to be in the pocket. And I think he's going to eat a lot of this stuff. His only hope is that he has more pop than Zepeda. It can kind of stop him from doing this.
the thing is that Cepeda is not that big a puncher. So if Roach can say, hey, you know what? I can handle this power. Maybe he decides to fight him in the pocket.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's more pop. So he's going to have to load up. But if he starts to gas out, then he's dead. Because Zepeda's just going to be right on top of him. He's going to be busting him up.
Yeah,
this guy doesn't have the kind of defense like Shakur does. He's hittable.
Well,
but like you said though, you said that Farmer he hits harder than Shakur. I mean, he's got to watch out, man, because Farmer did clip Zepeda, right, with a counter left. I forget which it was.
Yeah, he dropped him.
So Roach can do that. So he's got to be careful, man.
Yeah, he's got to be careful on the approach. But I think he's high activity. That's the thing. I think that's what's going to beat Roach.
Wow. All right, Mike. So you got a prediction? What's your prediction? Early one. You think decision for Zepeda?
I'd say Zepeda decision. Roach going to receive a brutal beating, but it's going to go back and forth. But at some point, I think Zepeda is going to wilt. Actually, Roach is going to wilt, but it'll probably go to the end. It'll be 12 rounds, I think.
Damn. All right, I like that one. I might agree with that one, but I'm still 50-50, man. We'll see, man. They're both going to come hungry.
All right, apologize for that. That was my fault this time. I was playing around with some cables. This wasn't anything with the internet going on. Shit. This wasn't anything to do with the internet going off. This was my fault. I was playing around with some cables and I disconnected something. So I do apologize for that. Are you still there?
Oh, what'd you do? You ended the show?
No, I didn't end it. I was still on the air. I accidentally, the internet went off because I was moving some cables and I was trying to, it was some hard drive is interfering with the Wi-Fi. So I was disconnecting the hard drive and then boom, the internet went out. So that was my fault. But we're still on here. We're still back. Actually, we're going to end it soon though. But we were talking about Zepeda versus, Zepeda versus Roach. So, okay, yeah, that's a good fight.
I think it is.
I wanted
it also sets up a fight between, if Zepeda takes him out, my prediction is that, Pitbull's going to be fighting Zepeda. I don't think he's going to fight Roach again.
Right. Maybe, man. Maybe. I don't know. It's true. We'll see.
He already beat the guy. He got robbed.
if you want to see it that way, why not, man?
He clearly beat the guy. They were like, I can't. The commentator, he's like, I know who I thought won, but my opinion doesn't matter. And then he says, Pitbull just didn't do enough. He just says it. It's like, I thought, he didn't do enough. He dropped him and beat him up at almost every round. He lost.
Well, listen, we'll see what happens with that, man. There's not much going on in terms of boxing, that's for sure, though. We got next week, I think it's Pacheco taking on Nassim. No, okay, we got Abdullah Misa versus Albert Bell. Next week, we have Joyce taking on Gassiev. Then that following week, Diego Pacheco versus Emmanuel Alim. Andy Cruz is on.
Isn't that Mason fight today? I thought that was today.
Yeah, that's today.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, there's not much.
I was like, then we really have a slow week then.
There's not much going on, man. I mean, we have to wait till the end of the month for a Errol Spence with Tim Tszyu fight.
Yeah, it's not too amazing.
Stephen Fulton is fighting on that card, taking on Liam Wilson. He's still around. What the heck? Liam Wilson, that's the guy that fought Tank Davis a long time ago. Hold on. Oh no! Oscar. Hey, this is the guy. No, this is the guy that dropped. This is the guy that dropped Navarrete and who went to war against Oscar Valdez. I'd forgotten he'd lost against Valdez. He's been on a string of victories too. So he's taking on Stephen Fulton. Okay, that's an interesting fight on the Spence versus Tim Tszyu undercard. By the way, Jamal Charlo is also fighting on that Errol Spence fight undercard, taking on Cohen Mazoudier.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Yeah. So wait a minute, the Garcia versus Tony Yoka was off?
No. Yeah, I mean, yes, Yoka pulled out, so now I think it's Garcia versus Joyce.
Damn, that's weird. Damn, that's a good one, actually.
I think it's better than the initial fight.
Yeah, man. I don't even know who to pick,
Origin.
man, for that one. I'm gonna go with Gassier, but Joyce, man, he can crack, man, depending on the fight.
I mean, if he can push the pace, I don't know. That's the thing. Gassiev doesn't throw that many bombs. He throws bombs, but he doesn't throw that often. So we'll see if he can dissuade Joyce from walking him down. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
The other one, Andy, on the undercard of Lamont Roach versus Cepeda, you got Andy Raimo Murataya taking on Robson Conceição. The always useful Conceição. I mean, how many shots at the title is this guy getting? He's fought everybody at this point. So I don't think Murataya is gonna. I think Murataya should beat him, but Conceição is a strong guy though. He's a strong guy with a good guard. So we'll see what happens there. August the 29th, Aitama Hrgovic. That's on the Zone pay-per-view, by the way. Fucking Aitama hasn't really done much, and they're already putting him on pay-per-view. So I mean, that's. I'm telling you, the Zone has really pissed us off as boxing fans. They really.
He's got that Copernic privilege.
He's got, well, I mean, that's why maybe some people call him Mossad Aitama. Mossad Aitama,
Yeah.
really getting those shekels in. Demanding the
Mossad
shekels.
Tama.
What was that?
Mossad Tama.
Mossad Tama. Yeah, that works a little bit better, man. Well, listen.
No, I got a Thomas stopping Hrgovic.
You got a what about what now?
I got a Thomas stopping Hrgovic in probably less than 6, man.
Is that right?
Too fast. Yeah, man, that kid's too fast, man.
That is true, man. That is true. It's that speed. That's the one that speed kills, as they say. And
I'm just thinking Hrgovic is gonna have a lot of that machismo and try and like parry and block a lot of the shots, and this is not gonna look good. Well, first of all, for the judges' points, and I think in that he's gonna take too much damage, and then the ref's gonna misinterpret that. They're gonna stop it once he gets a real beating with that. Time at 21 years old, that cardio is nice, man. Tom was he's gonna win by TKO. So.
yeah, that seems to be the consensus. But I'm very curious to see how he handles Hrgovic's length, because this ain't no smaller, slower, fatter Jermaine Franklin. This is a guy that he still has some pop, some speed, length. It'll be interesting to see how he handles that. We'll see if he can handle it.
Well, look at the pressers though. Hrgovic, this is like the first presser where I think he's letting everybody know, yo, this kid's not gonna, bully me around. And to do that, he's gonna show more machismo. I'm just saying he's gonna take some to receive some, and I just don't think that's a good idea. So,
He's gonna have to.
whatever.
He's gonna have to.
Yeah, he's gonna have to. So,
Well,
see. What else is the schedule?
Well, that's all we have, man. That's pretty much it. It's slim pickings from here on in. We don't have any fight. That's what I was complaining. Look, I try not to complain. Sometimes when we have good fights, I'll let it be known. But right now, this is a year that's been sort of subpar compared to 2023, 2024, even 2025. Look what we have to look forward to. Tim Tszyu versus Errol Spence. But Cepeda versus Roach. Okay, that's a good one. Canelo and Billy. That's the biggest name we have so far. The biggest names aren't fighting each other. AJ is not fighting Fury. They're taking tune-ups. What's his name? Tank Davis isn't fighting. Keyshawn Davis doesn't have anything penned. Benavidez doesn't have anything penned either. Where are the stars? Where are the people that are supposed to elevate the sport?
Is there any news on Munguia, who he might fight next? I would assume Munguia is going to be on the September card.
I mean,
I would like to see Munguia versus Beck the Bully. That'd be a banger, man. And that's like one I wouldn't advise Munguia to take, but I liked him with that Rosendis fight, man. He looked nice. So
yeah, he did look.
Munguia's going to bring in September.
He looked like he improved a lot, that's for sure. But I mean, I just don't. Even that fight that you mentioned, Munguia versus Beck the Bully. If it did happen, it's not a big fight. I'm talking about the fights where we have the biggest
connection with that.
The biggest stars fighting each other, and we don't, or the biggest names fighting each other. We don't have that. I mean, Benavidez or Petaya, that's the fight we want. We're not getting it. Keyshawn Davis versus his brother Shakur Stevenson, that's not happening. Against Haney, probably not happening either. I mean,
BDA, explain what's going on with Sanchez, Hrgovic, and the Thomas situation, right? Because Frank Sanchez, I think he's been ordered, right, by the ABF to fight Toma, right?
Well, I assume that they're saying that because that's what I'm confused, because I was under the impression, okay, once they announced that fight, that mandatory whatever, that okay, it's gonna be Aitama. If Aitama beats Hrgovic, he's gonna have to fight Sanchez. But then Hrgovic is saying that if he wins, he's got Daniel Dubois rematch lined up. So how does that work? If he wins the title, he won't have to defend it against Sanchez? Or I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, man. I mean, let me think. If I'm a Talma, who would I rather fight, though? If I'm a Talma, I'd rather fight probably, I don't know. I think for me, Sanchez is more dangerous than Hrgovic, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Aitama beats Hrgovic, the smart play would be go to Dubois because Dubois can crack. We know what he's about, but he can also be cracked. Frank Sanchez, he's unknown. It's not Brit versus Brit. It's Brit versus Cuban. It would be higher. It would be an equal risk, lower reward. So just drop the belt. I see. This is where if they were smart, they would drop the belt. But who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Maybe they'll incentivize the Alphabet organization with a little reward and say, hey, if you let us fight this dude or whatever,
Yeah, like as far as heavyweights, I think the only guys that would have a chance in timing a Talma and effectively would probably be Dubois and then and Frank Sanchez for that style because a Talma, man, that dude's very slippery, man, with range. He's young, he's athletic, so it's hard to catch him. I think the only guys that have the ring IQ to do that would be like a Dubois or a Frank Sanchez. So I don't know. I think it's a breath of fresh air right now that Usyk released all them belts. I don't even know what's going on with Usyk. I mean, who's he going to fight next? Or probably I would imagine the Rico rematch, right? The money's nice.
I think Hrgovic could definitely beat him. I think I don't think it would be that hard actually. I think that guy's I think he's very, very extremely untested. He never gets hit and all that, and that's because his opponents don't throw punches at him. So I find so odd about his fights.
In my opinion, that sucked.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think he just has the guys he fights aren't really there to beat him. So if Hrgovic is there to win, I think he's gonna beat him. I think Hrgovic punches just hard enough. He's just seasoned enough. He's been beat on in the past, and he fights through it. This guy here is completely unproven. Like you never really see him get hit.
I don't. For some reason, I want to give him benefit of doubt. But I feel like giving him benefit of doubt that he can take a punch, man. Or what fight was he staggered? Does anybody know?
I mean, he got hit with like one jab to the body in his previous fight, and he made a face. I was like, bro, that's not a good time.
I don't know. Are you saying Franklin hit him with a jab and he made a face?
Yeah, you hit him with a jab in the stomach, and he looked at him like, bro, you're not supposed to hit me like that.
That's crazy.
You're not supposed to hurt me. So when Hrgovic is like, boom, boom, here's a right hand, boom, right on his chin. He's probably like, oh, yeah, okay. He ain't going to be too slippery when he's spaghetti leg.
I like Hrgovic. He looks like Bruce Banner, that Hulk, you know that Hulk character? Whatever this movie is.
Oh, yeah. The actor.
He looks like a Hulk. Yeah.
He's like, I want to Dubois. He beat me with headbutts. No, he didn't even say that. He's like, I had a tummy ache. Hey. What about a headbutt ache? And we got beat with illegal from cuts from illegal blows.
Yo, BD, I'm gonna dip out, man. Mr. Fu, thank you, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Everybody, hit the like, man. Hit the like. Good job, man.
Yeah, hit the like. Hit the like.
What happened?
Hit the like. If you love us.
Did he drop out or what happened?
He says he has hemorrhoids. I'm kidding. No, he said he had to step away.
Oh, good.
I guess his girlfriend or wife's like, get the fuck over here. Get away from that computer or whatever he's on, you know?
I like how Fu just makes up stuff and then we just go along with it like it was a fact.
Sorry about the curse.
Yeah, but look, I'm really curious to see how Hrgovic deals. How Aitama deals with Hrgovic's reach. And like I said, Hrgovic, he's not at the heaviest handed.
Some damn punches, you know?
He's not the heaviest handed guy in the division, but the accuracy is
it's
there.
not a light puncher.
Yeah, and he's got relatively quick hands too, so it will be very interesting. Very interesting.
Oh, if he hits Aitama right on the chin?
I mean, we'll see, man. And
Aitama's the guy, you know? Aitama's like, oh, you hit me. You're not supposed to do that.
Hey, I'll say this, man. Aitama, one of the things that I wanted to see was his stamina. And against Franklin, it held up. But a lot of people did notice that he started off way too quickly, and by the third and fourth round, he did slow down a little bit. He was still in control, but he did slow down significantly.
But it's all one-way traffic, you know? That's my issue.
Well, I mean, he was
all one-way traffic. There's nothing hitting him.
Well, the interesting thing is that he had a lot of advantages over Franklin. Franklin was shorter, fat, slower, and doesn't possess the same type of punching power. Even as heavyweights go, Jermaine Franklin isn't that big a puncher. So what was his chance to win? His only chance to win was to outwork Aitama, and he couldn't even get close.
That guy went 12 with AJ.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what's kind of crazy because in that fight you saw he was game. He's slipping. He had dreadlocks. In this fight, dreads were cut. He was all fat. Didn't throw punches. He was bankrupt. You know that he had no money, right? He's in bankruptcy.
That's the other thing is I think he showed up way heavier than he should have, like you said.
Yeah.
And I think that
no dreads. Where's the dreads?
I think the plan might have been to, hey, we're gonna pressure this young guy. We're gonna come in heavy to take his shots. And no, man, when you're fighting a guy that fast,
it could also be Frank Warren's like, hey, I give you a payday. Just go in there.
Hey,
just go in there and stand around. You know, just stand around, and we could say, look, this guy went 12 with AJ.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's
exactly.
It's a possibility.
It's a business.
It's a possibility. Guys. I'm not saying any of that. But
I got a new product.
That's Food TV saying that, by the way. And again, the views expressed by our panelists, the chat, the callers, I mean, and all that. They're not representative of the BDA organization. That's all I'm saying.
People just don't like that it's a business, you know.
I mean, hey, listen, it's. Like the World Cup right now, a lot of shenanigans going on, a lot of hijinks of the highest order. Well, listen, Fu, speaking of the highest order, Mr. BDA's got to go eat. I got to go eat. I haven't had any breakfast. Oh, yeah. Been on for 3 hours. 3 hours and 20 minutes. Hey, but hey, everybody go check out the Real Food TV. That's the Real Food TV, only on YouTube. Well, I think on Rumble too, but let's just make it exclusive. And he had a show a couple of days ago. He was simulcasting with Never Sober. So shout out to the Real Food TV. Fu, anything else you want to... Yeah.
That's usually what people do in the morning.
What's that?
I said, are you going to get some eggs in you?
Yes, I went to the store and I said, give me the eggs Conor Benn takes. I want those Conor Benn eggs. I want to look like him. I want to look shredded. I want to speak Spanish as good as he does. Ryan, eres un pendejo. So,
you know what he looks like to me? You ever saw the movie Sleepwalkers, the Stephen King film where the people are cats?
There was a movie where people turn into cats. What?
Yeah. It's called Sleepwalkers.
Never seen it, no.
It's a Stephen King. It's based on a Stephen King book. They're cats.
That's it.
That or he looks like the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, the animated film.
Conor Benn looks like the Beast. What are you talking about? He
has that kind of face. He looks like a cat that turned into a human.
You know what? That's a very astute observation. Now that you're saying it, I can see. Yeah, you're right. I can see it. He does look like a cat. He's got feline features. Fu, you are very perceptive. Let me tell you. He does look like a cat. Look. I'm gonna show people this picture here so they don't think that I'm joshing. And I can't unsee it now, Fu. I can't unsee it now. No. But look, he looks like a cat. You're right.
Well, I gotta go to the YouTube to take a look because I can't see it through the StreamYard.
Let me see if I can share it here with you. Hold on. I think I can share stuff on. The hell's going on here? Window.
I think you can maybe put an image through it.
There you go. I'm sharing the screen with you there. Sharing my OBS there.
Told you.
He looks like a cat.
It looks like a cat.
The hell is that, fool? Now it's gripping me out. It's gripping me out. I can't unsee it.
It's disgusting.
Look at that.
It looks like a fucking cat.
Cat? What would you? Cat Ben? Feline Ben? No,
Cat Ben, feline Ben. Yeah.
Yes. He does look like a cat.
He's just missing the whiskers.
Hold on.
He even has the nose. He has a fucking cat nose.
Holy shit! You're right, man.
I told you. The dude is creepy.
He should. You know when they did the movie Cats and they turned them into CGI cats. If they would have hired Conor Benn, they wouldn't have needed any CGI. They could have saved the money.
No prosthetics. You just put whiskers on him.
I'm gonna scratch. That's what he's gonna start saying now. I'm gonna scratch.
He's like, meow.
I'm the cat's meow. He said, "I'm on the prowl."
He said that?
No. Imagine he starts saying that. Yeah, I'm on the prowl now. I'm getting me some mice. I'm on the prowl for some mouse.
Oh,
some mice.
I want to eat your rats.
What other puns do we have for cats?
I want to eat your rats.
I ain't no pussy. Oh.
Oh, I'm a pussy.
No,
That's
no.
what you say,
No, I
like
ain't no
pussycat. Like I'm a pussycat.
Right. Wow. Food, that
You
was
can say it with his British accent.
exactly. Food, that was a very astute observation. I gotta tell you, I'm impressed.
You're welcome.
I'm impressed.
What I think of every time I see him. Like, that dude looks like a cat.
He really does, man. It's eerie, it's creepy, and I don't like it. I'll say that. But listen,
But he doesn't have cat-like reflexes.
no, that's true.
That's a
true.
problem.
That's Shakur
He
Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson's the pussy with the.
He also looks like a cat a little bit too. That's probably why Turkey said, "I don't want any Tom and Jerry shit," except he was relating him to a rat. Anyway,
well, he looks more like a chipmunk. With that, when he starts smiling, and then when he used to have the gap, the gap in the teeth, that's when he looked
looks
a
like
lot.
a donkey a little bit too sometimes.
Maybe. By the way, I've always
Who's that
maintained that Jorge Linares looked like a vampire bat.
Oh,
Remember Jorge Linares?
yes. He's very, very vampire-like in a Hispanic way.
He has those fucking giant ears and always reminded me of a fruit bat of some kind. Hold on, let me share the screen with you so you don't think I'm making stuff up here.
He's also built like a rat a little bit, right? That's kind of what bats look like. They look like flying rats.
Yeah, I think they're from the same.
Like flying rat cats. Right?
See, there you go.
Yes, yeah. Oh, you see, he does look sort of like a vampire.
The black hair, the ears.
He's like from the movie Twilight.
I never saw those movies, but
yeah, they suck. You don't have to watch them.
I'll take your word for it.
He got that kind of thing going on. He's like, "Hey, I'm here to help you.
Hey, what the
I love people. I wouldn't suck your blood."
No, wait a minute. Well, by the way, before we go, shout out to Sid Boxing FU. Oh, is he borrowing your name? Is that what's going on? Is he part of the Fu Arena or something? Because
no, he should be. Is it maybe
because you?
Yeah, he's part of the Fuverse.
It's Fu, but it's FU. I mean, no, it might be FU. You're Fu. Anyway, shout out to Sid Boxing FU for his contribution with the super chat. He says. What's he saying? Hold on a second. He says, "Fuck Haney. No one wants to watch your hugging." I'm pretty sure there must be somebody out. There's always something out there for everybody. So some people
I heard
might
you talking about it. Some guys are into it.
I mean,
they like to watch that hugging.
Pretty sure there are.
I want to see more hugging. It's not enough of it.
Yeah, there's people that do the thing that way. But shout out to Sid Boxing.
They want the ref to like grab them both and press them against each other. The two fighters.
Yeah, pull their trunks down and then let them clinch. But not Sid Boxing FU. No, sorry, Bob. He's not into that type of stuff. Neither am I. We're all on the same boat. And we're all on the same. Yeah, like Eddie Hearn. Remember when he got pantsed and he wasn't wearing. They dropped his shorts and the guy wasn't wearing any underwear. It's like, what the hell is that about?
Yeah, did you say it was on an escalator?
Yeah, and
who pants him?
He got his pants pulled down. He had no underwear, and his ass looked shaved. It was a nice, smooth ass. What the hell was that about?
What the hell? That's funny.
It looked like the type of,
they punked him out.
It looked like the type of ass the ass of somebody who enjoys watching clinching in boxing. That's the type of ass.
That was intentional. They pulled that down because he actually asked them to do that for him. So to let people know.
Yeah, exactly. There
so like Mike Tyson, remember with the what's that jock strap he had on? Remember he's walking around the back room with his ass out.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I love you, Mike. I love you, and he gives him a kiss and he turns around and walks away. Was he eating? What was he eating? An apple or a banana or something?
I think a banana probably. He was probably shoving.
I felt like he was eating something.
Yeah. Oh, he was probably eating something. That's why he had his pants on and his ass out. But look, we gotta go.
Ventilation. You need the ventilation.
Look, we absolutely have to go. I'm sorry, we have to go, everybody. I know you guys want more show, but we're on for 3 hours. We gotta go. We'll try to be back as soon as possible. The problem with doing these shows at night is that we got World Cup action at night. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to sneak in an episode in between games somewhere around maybe 6 and 8 o'clock, 6 and 9 p.m. Fu, if you could make it, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Gonna try to come back with some.
Oh, you're big into the soccer?
Just the World Cup, man. Just when it's every 4 years, sometimes I gotta put a lot of things aside, and I want to get as much World Cup action in as possible.
All right.
That's just me, man. That's just the way I do it. But Fu, check out the Real Food TV. Don't forget to check out the Real Food TV. Fu, thank you for jumping in, man.
All right,
Really appreciate it. Early in the morning here.
Yeah, no problem.
And shout out to everybody who donated the super chat, and shout out to everybody who joined us in the chat. I'm talking about Kusher or Kusher. I don't know how you pronounce that. Uncle Brent apostrophe, Iceman, WMS, J Will, We Fight All Night, Bray, Pancho Villa, Grim Reaper. Who else we had here? We have Fu in the chat, Jay Perez, Sid Boxing, FU, Vernon Holiday, Severino. If I forgot anybody, guys, it's because we gotta go. I mean, we just have to. It's been too long. It's been a long morning. I gotta go get some breakfast, gotta get some energy. And I am gonna be drinking coffee today because it's Saturday, and I'll allow it.